Cover new stations you love, plus a new trending section.
Just remember, we're on FCC now.
The new look of the
Oh, yeah.
guys.
Love about your car radio in the palm of your hand. Find out what everyone's talking about and get the new and improved free iHeartRadio app today.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Pay. That's pay. Enter it now.
You got to get in to win. Go to ESPNAVL.com, and good luck.
Live from the Ingalls Studio,
I can't wait to play with myself every day.
the Sportsocracy.
Damn the devil to hell! Let the big dog see! Let him on the field!
Come get you some this.
Fire them cannons! By golly, put more powder in those things.
He couldn't take any more disappointment.
Oh my God, the Jets killed him.
It is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, 1400. The Sportsocracy, heard everywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. We are seen everywhere on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com, click that live video link, subscribe to the channel, join us in the chat. It is, I almost did the Overreaction Monday thing. It's not an Overreaction Monday. It feels a little off. Everybody enjoyed the festivities yesterday, because the reality hit me this morning. I mean, watching it just really sunk in today. The Ohio State University Buckeyes are the national champions, and it's a brand new world, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Day's no longer getting fired. Nobody's talking about Ryan Day's job today for the first time in such a long, long time.
Yay. It's tremendous. I have never watched a game in my life that I cared less about from Jump Street than that one. I didn't realize how little I cared until we got into the second quarter and we'd had two drives. Mm-hmm. And I could feel my eyes rolling back in my head. Like, this is Big Ten football at its finest.
Yes.
I do love all the people on our social medias that said, "Oh, you're obviously a Michigan fan." Nope, I'm not. You know what I'm a fan of? Football that's fun to watch. You know what this ain't? That. It's not that.
No, you had a couple explosive plays in the second half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
First half of the game was, it was quite reminiscent of the Peach Bowl. Just grinded out grossness. 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of football.
Yeah, here's the thing.
And
even, all right. I want to make this perfectly clear to all Ohio State fans. I don't care in the least that you won. Here's what I'm a big fan of. I like seeing high-level NFL talent playing at its highest level. How many of those guys did you see last night? Because I saw one. Jeremiah Smith's one of those.
Uh-huh.
Who's two? Riley Leonard? I'm going to say no. Will Howard? Well, he could go in the first round. Yeah, and a bullfrog could sprout wings and become a bird. Jaden Greathouse, I do like him a lot. Mm-hmm. Talk about a kid that made himself some money because he's a true sophomore. That kid made himself some money during this playoff run. Other than that, it's a bunch of second round guys. And I learned this about myself. I don't really care. I don't really care.
Unless they're stars.
I want to see stars. I want to see elite pass rushers. I want to see elite pass catchers. I want to see elite quarterbacks. I want to see elite coaches. I feel like Ryan Day is an elite college coach.
Okay.
I feel like Marcus Freeman is an elite coach, period, in spite of the fact that the field goal, bruh, what in the world was that? If I live to be 200 years old, I'll never figure out how he, in his own mind, went, yeah, we're kicking field goal here. Speaking of which, we have our first super chat of the day, and it steers into that field goal.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
It's from Soaring Eagle. It said, thanks for kicking the field goal, Marcus. Just know you wouldn't have won even if you'd made it. I agree with that, which is why I had the problem with it. That's why I'd have gone for it. Mm-hmm. I'll stick you inside worst case scenario, I stick you inside the 10-yard line.
Right.
That's my best chance to have stopped you yet. You turned it over on the next drive. I thought it was a mind-bogglingly bad decision.
I mean, I guess to the basis of the words, he was correct when he said that, what was it, a 17-point game or a 14-point game is better than a 16-point game or whatever his excuse was for kicking that field goal. I mean, sure, you're correct. However, there's no guarantee that you're getting 2 more possessions of this ball. Like, you got to go for it. You have to stay aggressive, right? You've made your living all year long being aggressive.
And then in the most important time, you weren't.
Right, why settle now?
Well, last night got me thinking about something. Why am I so disinterested in this? Because, and I felt it from you too. We did a live stream on it, and you and I are both sitting here going, good Lord, will this just end? Will this just end?
Look, I didn't mind the style of football that was being played. It was the fact that it was so one-sided after the first possession.
Well, and then that resolved.
It looked like it was going to, but not until the second half did it resolve itself. Not until the second half did the fireworks start going off, much like that Peach Bowl game. Right, it took forever for that thing to get going, but I didn't expect Ohio State to be able to come out and muscle Notre Dame like they did. Ohio State did to Notre Dame what Notre Dame did to Georgia, and that shocked the hell out of me.
Ohio State was the better team. They were flat out. They were just a better team.
They were. Flat out better team. Absolutely.
Now I had it.
At the pace that game was played and the style that game was played, that it was so one-sided in the first half.
I had a conflict last night of, am I a bad, spoiled football fan that just didn't do anything for me? Outside of Jeremiah Smith, who if he could enter this draft as an 18-year-old kid, he would go in the top 5. And I mean that. I've never really been able to say that about any other prospect. Jeremiah Smith would go in the top 5 right now. But then it got in my head of am I a bad fan? Am I spoiled? Because, thanks to our wonderful sponsors, Parks Ford Hendersonville, Ingles Markets, Clarissa Sells, WNC.com, we get to do all of these games, and I'm just so spoiled. But then I realized something. And I hadn't thought about it until last night. Tank, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
How many teams have 2 players in my top 20? This upcoming draft class, how many college football teams have 2 players inside my top 20 prospects?
I'll go with 3.
It's none. There's not one.
Okay.
I have 20 players that go to 20 different schools. And after I started to think about that, I realized that as college football fans, you have now all gotten exactly what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You got parity. That's what you told me you wanted.
Yes.
We want parity. We want all these teams to have a shot. Notre Dame's in it, and Ohio State wins one, and we had Texas, and the big bad SEC's out of it. At some point today, we're going to get a television number. I don't have it yet, but I will have it before the end of this day. You think it's going to be higher than what you're used to? Because I don't.
No, I do not.
I think last night will end up being the lowest rated national championship game we've ever had.
Really?
And I don't see any way it doesn't, because it was so damn boring. And it was pretty well decided by the end of the second quarter. Oh, it got interesting with 5 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. You know what you'd already lost by then? The audience. Maybe they're tracking it on their phones, but Notre Dame never had the ball with a chance to actually beat Ohio State. That's when people come back. Historically, people will keep an eye on the game tracker. And if Notre Dame winds up with the ball with a chance to tie, that's when they come back. It never happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was only with 4 minutes left to go in the game that they cut it down to a one-score game.
Mm-hmm.
Until that, there was no hope. I mean, not in the eyes of the average person. Notre Dame fan, maybe you still had hope. I mean, I will give them credit. You didn't give up when you could have. That could have been 60-7. And you didn't quit in the second half. They came back, found some fight. And I'll give them credit for that. But you got outmanned. You got out-talented yesterday.
For sure. Ohio State was a better team. Ohio State in this 12-team playoff, at no time did we ever really think there was a team better than Ohio State.
No.
We thought Ryan Day might Ryan Day.
Yeah, they beat their opponents by 70 points in the 4 games that they played. That's insanity.
I also love, and by the way, I really have to emphasize this. Nancy Cromer in our YouTube chat said, typical Southern spiel nonsense. Put the Buckeyes in Georgia uniforms and it's the greatest game ever. Go Bucks. No, it's not. And you know how I know that? Because I've already watched that game. It was Georgia TCU, and guess what? I was Seacrest out in the second quarter of that game too. The last national title game that I made it to the fourth quarter of was in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem.
It's been a while.
Now, how you fix it, I have absolutely no idea. The arrogance and annoyance of Buckeye fans that's another layer of this that I mean, I get it. Southern fans are really annoying, and I understand why Big Ten fans feel that way about us.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And Nancy, you could not believe a word of it. I don't really care. I have receipts that tell me that's exactly what happened. Actually, I'm talking to a Georgia fan that can confirm that.
Yes.
Because he was texting me in the second quarter, and I went, I'm watching How I Met Your Mother. I don't know, and I don't care. Because that game was over.
Right.
I just want to see competitive. Now, what I think has become the problem is that we now have so much. I think people call it parity. It's really not. It's not parity.
Okay. What is it?
You still, at the end of the day, have the same heavy hitters that have – I think the graphic I saw was Ohio State had 17 five-star recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's better than Notre Dame's 4. You're better, but you're still not elite. I mean, do you think we're going to remember this Ohio State team 3 years down the line? Because I don't. I think Ohio State fans will. I think they're going to flick you in the head and tell you how great they were for the next 10 years.
But I think we will in the manner that they once we look back on it. I mean, what they achieved was incredible and something that nobody thought was possible when they lost to Michigan. They had the toughest road. We talked about how they had the worst draw, that they were going to have to play Tennessee, and that wasn't going to be fun, and they absolutely smoked them. Then they had to get Oregon after that, and it was, oh, man, that's the number 1 team in the country, the team that already beat them once. How are they going to be able to bounce back? Will they be too high coming off of Tennessee? No, they smoked them.
What's the headline?
They got up, 34-0 in that game?
Mm-hmm. What's the headline? Historically, and I'm looking at every national title team since we went to the playoff, every team that you really remember has a headline. Last year's Michigan team, it was J.J. McCarthy, it was Jim Harbaugh. The Georgia team the year before, it was the fact that they absolutely just smoked TCU in a way that we never thought a national championship would go that way. Ever. What's the headline of this Ohio State team? What's the thing you're going to remember?
Notre Dame the Ohio State dominates the first 12-team playoff.
And I don't believe anybody's going to remember it that way.
Okay.
Because Notre Dame ended up keeping it close, score-wise, not on the field. Texas had a shot to tie you with 2 minutes to go. I think the headline of this playoff is how disappointing this playoff was. And I get it, Ohio State fans, you're jumping up and down today. You're super excited. Unfortunately for you, I have access to metrics that say the rest of us really didn't care. And I'm not denigrating your national championship. Hang the banner, buy the T-shirt, enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
3 years from now, we're not going to talk about this team. We're not. And college football, if you give us another playoff like that next year, which, BT Dubs, you're gonna. May God have mercy on your soul. Because the ratings dictate this was not a success. The NCAA tournament's proven just because you have more of something doesn't make it successful. Because it waters down the product.
But I have more inventory.
That's fine. And
you're
more
right. Inventory to make more revenue.
And more inventory means it's going to be cheaper per shot. Because I'll guarantee you there is no high-end sponsor, whether it's Allstate, Dr. Pepper, any of the people that really made this thing go. I don't think any of them loved the fact that by the start of the fourth quarter, 70% of us were Seacrest out. I also don't think they loved that in an 11-game playoff, 8 of the games were that way. There may be nothing you can do to fix it, but it's a problem.
It was a problem. But was it just a fluke of a problem? Was it just bad luck that this year we ended up with a lot of lopsided games? Sometimes I guess that happens. But as you look back and you see the last 6 national championship games have all been lopsided affairs, maybe that's how big the game is. Maybe one team definitely just doesn't show up when it comes time for that, for the showdown in the national championship. I would like to not think that is the case every year. It's one of those weird things that I can't explain.
I mean, I have a theory on why it's happening. And I shouldn't necessarily say I have a theory on why the national title games themselves have been so bad. I have a theory on why this playoff was so bad. When we'll get to that in the next segment. We have a super chat before we go into the commercial break.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Soaring Eagle, honestly, just do what the NFL does. 7 teams, the 1 seed gets a bye, conference champs don't get automatic bids, and a group of 5 team isn't guaranteed a spot. Oh, have no fear. We renegotiate the terms of this after next year, and there's going to be a vehement change. I don't think it's that. We're not going down in teams. That's not happening. But I do think there are a couple little changes that are going to happen. Boise State, yeah, I'm sorry. We hope you enjoyed your opportunity at this while you had it, because I really struggle to believe that you're going to get too many more opportunities at this. Mm-hmm. You'll get it as a 12 seed where you can go in and play the best team that didn't win their conference championship game, and they're going to – you think Penn State beat you up? Whoa. Wait till you have to play at Georgia or an Ohio State or one of these teams that's in the top 5 of recruiting classes every single year.
Yep.
And you look across the field at 19 5-stars. Meanwhile, your best player was a 4-star from Topeka, Kansas.
If anything,
Good
that
luck.
was what the playoff showed us, to me, was that we need to have the absolute 12 best teams. No ifs, ands, or buts. No more thumb on the scale for the AAC or the Mountain West or whoever. If you're not one of the 12 best teams in the country, you can't be involved in this. Cinderellas don't belong in football.
Cinderella is the greatest myth in sports.
Right.
It is literally. I mean, I think he's gone a little kooky madookie, but Colin Cowherd's one of the greats in our business. He's been saying this for years. You like Cinderella one time. You like it the first weekend of the college basketball tournament. You want them to win in the first round because you picked it in your bracket. Then what do you want them to do? Lose and get out of the way. Because you don't want to watch them in the Sweet 16. History proves that. Lowest rated games in the history of the Final Four. You know what they have in common? George Mason, VCU,
Florida Gulf Coast,
Miami, non-traditional powers.
Yeah. You're in the Sportsocracy. This is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they?
Yeah, we're clear.
10-4.
I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Always still look at myself as a high-performing athlete, even at 40 years old. And so I want to go able to run and run fast and do things that I could 15 and 20 years ago. And it was getting to the point where the pain was starting to limit that.
Pain attacks people from all walks of life, not just former professional athletes like Bobby Carpenter. That's where QC Kinetics non-surgical treatment steps in.
And now that the pain is gone, I've been able to go and do the stuff that I love and run fast and run sprints and try to get back to where I was.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments use your body's own healing properties to deliver long-term relief without surgery.
Now, being able to go and work out and do the stuff that I want to do and challenge my body, it's made me a better person, a more pleasant person to be around.
Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 828-333-9517. That's 828-333-9517. 828-333-9517.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the mountains, you need to call the agents at Clarissa Sells WNC, brokered by eXp Realty. Check us out online at clarissasellswnc.com. Download our free app on Google Play or the App Store. Type in Asheville Home Search. You'll be able to connect with our team and see all the available homes for sale in our area. For more information, contact us today at 828-774-6343 or clarissasellswnc@gmail.com.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford of Hendersonville. Our purpose, to improve lives with every interaction. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. Like Trent and Doug, whose first instinct was to fill their trucks with supplies and drive to the hardest hit areas in those first hours. Like Eric, who hosted the football team to support their neighbors and begin the cleanup efforts. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. That's parkscommunityheroes.com. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com.
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. Need to whip up a dessert, entree, side dish? No problem. The experts from the Ingalls Table take you through it step by step, with expert tips and advice along the way. Find the Ingalls Table at ingalls-markets.com or swing by the store and pick up your free copy of the Ingalls Table magazine. And let's get cooking. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
The Sportsocracy.
That is some good, clean family fun there, eh, Cot?
Back in the Sportsocracy, the college football playoff has come to a close. The first 12-team playoff owned by the Ohio State University Buckeyes. The Ohio State University Buckeyes.
Thank God, because that playoff felt like it lasted about 2 months. Did you feel that way by the end? I didn't really realize it until last night, but I started thinking, man, we're in the last week of January. This thing started in the middle of December. This feels like it's been going on for a long time.
It does. And it seems longer when your team's not in it. Like the fact that there were 2 more weeks of football after Georgia was finished. It was like, we're still doing this? And I do feel like it got swallowed up by the NFL. I was listening to Greeny earlier while I was here in the studio doing some other stuff, and Mad Dog Russo was on with him, and he said that they need to figure out a way to have this game before the divisional playoff.
For sure.
Like, I don't know if you have to do it on that Saturday. Like, they want to have the Monday night slot, but it doesn't make any sense because all day yesterday, the timeline, the news cycle was taken up by the divisional playoff, putting the bow on all of that. We saw it in the chat, right? When we first started the Overreaction Monday live stream yesterday, we went 45 minutes just talking about the playoff games, and I don't know if it was Gambit fan or somebody put in the chat, like, the national championship game is tonight, right? Nobody's talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a problem for college football. Not that it would have made the number any different. Maybe it would have.
I think it would have.
If you'd have had it on Saturday night.
I think it very much would have. I very much think it would have.
If you'd have had that last Saturday night blowout to end the season rather than trying to shove it in on a Monday night after the divisional playoff games on Sunday, maybe you could have generated a little bit more buzz.
Bill Workman's got it exactly right in our YouTube chat. You need to move the calendar around so that college starts sooner, or the NFL goes a week later in the regular season. Well, it's funny you should mention that, because the NFL is already working on a plan to extend their regular season by 2 weeks. They're going to add an 18th game. Because this 17-game thing doesn't make any sense. Every team has an odd number of home and away dates. You don't have enough international games to cover that up. You've also got some anomalies in the schedule that some of these teams that play internationally wind up with 7 home games. None of these things are sustainable. Mm-hmm. So, if you're college football, and I understand that I'm expecting a lot because the NCAA might be the dumbest institution we have in sports, and that is comparing it to the NBA and Major League Baseball, which should tell you a lot. There is absolutely no reason for your playoffs to last until January 20th. None. You're now working on a story came out last week that the college football, or the Football Coaches Association of America, had coined a proposal to move the transfer portal from January 3rd to January 13th. What stops you from just having the national title game on New Year's Day?
Nothing.
Do you not think that would rate better?
Yes.
I pulled up the numbers. What do you think happened to television viewership going to the 12-team format?
It dropped off.
How much? And I'm going semifinals here because that's the only thing I can directly compare. We didn't have a quarterfinals or a first round last year, so
compared to year over year,
from 2023 to 2020, or from 2020, the 23 season 24 year, 24 season 25 year.
I'm gonna guess 7%,
17%.
Whoa.
Do you know what happens when sitcoms drop 17% in viewership? They get canceled.
Yep.
They get canceled. 19.2 million people watch the semifinals. 16.9 watch the quarterfinals. This is on average. It's average viewership per round. First round was 10.6. 10.6 is not that different from a stereotypical highlighted game in the SEC. The SEC had games that hit over 7 million this year.
Yes.
It's not the benefit that you think it is. And look, the first round's going to be bad. I don't know how many times you played college football 25, but if you wind up in the first round, how many times you beaten teams 65-3? Because I do it a lot.
It's quite a bit, yeah.
I mean, I know that's a very crude comparison, but it's the truth. You don't have 12 deserving teams every year. I get how you got here. But I don't think it's that hard to fix.
Okay. Buys go to the top 4 teams.
Buys go to the top 4 teams.
Fix.
Buys go to the top 4 teams overall.
Yes. None of this conference champions get a bye. Your conference champions don't deserve buys in the lesser conferences. We end up having the top 4 teams in the country are all conference champions. Fine. Awesome. But
that's never going to happen.
That shouldn't qualify you.
Yeah, it's never going to happen that way.
No.
I mean, once in 20 years, maybe.
Right.
Because the chances of the SEC or the Big Ten not having 2 of the top 4 teams in the country are not real high. Think about how many times in the 4-team playoff era, we had a conference represented by 2 teams. It was a lot.
Yep. That is true. We got another super chat in the YouTube comments here.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
And this one from Eamon Report. He says the time for the conferences to do tournament-style scheduling after your non-conference schedule is over. Games don't get scheduled ahead, but equal number of home games for each school. That would be a nightmare to try to coordinate.
It's not as much of a nightmare as you think.
It'd be interesting not knowing who you play week to week if you did, the SEC tournament over 8 weeks of the season, I guess.
Well, I mean, all right, so you're saying it would be a nightmare to coordinate. What's a nightmare to coordinate?
Well, just not knowing where you're going to be week to week.
You don't know where you're going week to week now. And now you may be reading this a different way than I am.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like your schedule has to be your schedule. You're going to play the teams in your conference that you're going to play. But now, can you integrate the conference championship games into this thing? Probably. Because the ACC championship game being a play-in to get in makes it more palatable for me to watch.
Mm-hmm. No, the way I'm reading this is after the non-conference schedule, like everybody plays 2-3 non-conference games at the beginning of the season. And then after that, everybody gets thrown into like this round-robin tournament schedule where every week based on how you finish the game or how many points you won by or whatever would determine your seeding for the next week. And somehow you whittle that down over the season to come up with the number 1 team against the number 2 team. I'm not sure what a tournament style scheduling is. If that's not it, I'm sorry if I'm explaining that poorly. But yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
Well, I mean, everybody else does it. And Ohio State just had to figure out 4 locations with about 9 days apiece. If you can't figure out travel in 9 days, I can't really help you. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could get to Fiji and not if you gave me 9 days.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds insane to me. You're in the Sportsocracy. This is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner.
And we're clear.
ESPN Asheville.
All right, so far so good. We've made it through the cold. Coldest night, though, is most likely going to be tonight by a degree or two from where we were earlier today. And again, the snow going south-southeast of us, unusual indeed. Partial sun, 25 today. Tonight, breezy, cloudy, maybe a flurry early, then clear, 5 above, wind chills below 0. Sun back tomorrow, 32. From the Weather Channel, I'm Ray Stajic.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
The recent wildfires that ravaged Los Angeles now account for one of the largest disasters in the history of our country. Now, iHeartRadio is bringing you an historic fundraising event.
The Fire Aid Benefit Concert.
Live in Los Angeles.
Donate today at fireaidla.org.
Join us January 30th.
Listen live to the Hit Nation station on the free iHeartRadio app, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern.
And show your support for the people in need in Los Angeles.
FEMA funding is available to support repairs on private roads and bridges, even if your primary home is not damaged. For more information or to schedule an inspection, call 1-800-621-FEMA. Again, call 1-800-621-3362.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first, before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Don't let data limits hold you back from being the gift master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the mountains, you need to call the agents at Clarissa Sells WNC, brokered by eXp Realty. Check us out online at clarissasellswnc.com. And did I mention that Clarissa Sells WNC loves teachers? We love teachers so much, we're giving back 25% of our commission at closing. For more information, contact us today at 828-774-6343 or clarissasellswnc@gmail.com.
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. The experts from the Ingalls Table take you through it step by step with expert tips and advice along the way. Just visit ingalls-markets.com. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford of Hendersonville. I would like to introduce you to some of our very own Parks Community Heroes. Like Trent and Doug, whose first instinct was to fill their trucks with supplies and drive to the areas that were hardest hit in those first hours. Like Spencer, who helped build a bridge out of debris to rescue 7 families after the road was washed away. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. That's parkscommunityheroes.com. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com.
Boy, you must be outside your mind.
The Sportsocracy.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
We are back in the Sportsocracy, and since we're on this topic of reshuffling things around and figuring out where we're at in this new college football world, right? This world of what did you call it, Jeremy? Faux parody? Is that what we're calling it?
Yep.
How do we do these things? I brought this up for a minute yesterday on the live stream that we did for the national championship game. The ACC is apparently considering changes to the conference championship game format, where instead of having the regular season champion play in the conference championship game and possibly lose standing in the CFP standings, they would have the second and third place teams play for a conference championship, and thereby maybe hope that game would be good enough to get one of them into the conference championship or into the college football playoff field of 12 as well. So this year it would have been Clemson and Miami playing for a second spot. SMU already gets the bye as the regular season champion, and then you have a, title game champion? Or it sounds crazy, but There's also some interesting thought to it. If things stay the same, maybe this is a way that they could try to game the system to get 2 teams in when maybe there wouldn't be 2 teams in the top 12.
Tank, you've been in radio for a long time. I started as a writer, so I have a little bit different of a connotation when it comes to explaining things. You ever heard the term below the fold?
Below the fold.
Below the fold, basically, it's an old newspaper term of you have to get the most important things in a story above the fold. Because for them to read what's below the fold, they have to open it up.
Okay.
That's kind of the definition of why this ain't going to work. Because your entire above the fold is explaining this. You've explained it to me twice. I'm still not 100% sure I understand it. That's a really bad... It's a bad sign.
What's not to understand?
It's kind of like people like Kyrie Irving that think the earth is flat. It takes you 4 paragraphs just to explain your opening rant. I'm out. I stopped paying attention after the 3rd sentence. I realized you were a kooky Madookie, and I'm good. I don't need to hear anymore. You've told me everything I needed to hear.
Okay. All right.
I did not think I would be referencing C-SPAN on this show today, but here we are. Yesterday, historic day in America with the swearing in of our 47th president.
Yeah.
Obviously, all of the news channels were going wall to wall with inauguration coverage. I had it on in the studio. I know you were watching some of it from your house.
Yes.
And I had just a passing interest, if for nothing else, to make fun of things. Well, C-SPAN did wall-to-wall coverage, and at some point they thought it would be a really good idea to do that one thing that it sounds good until it goes bad. We're going to take callers.
Yeah, that's the favorite part.
Oh, yeah. It's always a really bad sign of, unless you have the best call screener in the world, taking calls is fun for the one that calls. It's not necessarily fun for anybody else. There are good callers, don't get me wrong. They're really bad callers. And my story is of one that's pretty bad. C-SPAN opened up their phone lines. I promise you this is a sports story. Opened up their phone lines, and a caller called in. Never got a name, and they got hung up on pretty quickly, so we don't have a name. This is what the caller said. I'm a bit disappointed in how the election turned out. While I'm disappointed in the American people and their desire to see another 4 years under Donald Trump, I'm a bit more disappointed in the selection committee for not picking Alabama for the college football playoff finals. Oh, they ended the call as they were being hung up on by saying truly dark times in America.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
I would love to see the person that went, you know what? I'm going to call C-SPAN to complain that Alabama didn't get in. Not necessarily your target demo, bruh. Although I do think you started it with the right fait accompli in the beginning. You at least got their attention with that.
He was just trying to get Tommy Tuberville on top of it. Like, fix it. You are my representative. Fix it. There's just, okay, there's certain things that we need to know where to take our complaints to. The poor guys at C-SPAN probably don't even know that Alabama has a football team.
Yeah, what is a college football playoff? I understand all three of those words. I don't understand them in that order. We're here for parliamentary procedure, sir.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. Good to know that the sports fans are keeping an eye on the important things in life.
Now, here's where, and this is just me. I watch a lot of cop shows, and I'm very into detective work. I would really like for somebody to go back and compare that caller on C-SPAN to the last 2 weeks of Paul Feinbaum's show. Because I guarantee you, if you do it long enough, you're going to find the overlay. Hey, it's
guy.
Becky from Tuscaloosa. Figured it out. You call Paul. Don't call C-SPAN.
That's right. That's right. That's the correct complaint department to take it to. All right. So, how else did you want to fix the college football playoff? I don't think we put a bow on that conversation.
Well, it's not necessarily fix it. It's there is a problem that I don't know why it's happening, and I don't know how to fix it. But I can look at this and go, yeah, there's a problem here. Who are the best quarterbacks in the country right now? If you had to rank top 5 college quarterbacks, who would they be?
Oh, good Lord. It would be Shedeur Sanders and
he was nowhere
Cam
close to this thing. Cam was close, but not quite.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, he wasn't in it either.
I don't know. I can't think of it.
Do you notice that you never at any point said Will Howard or Riley Leonard?
Of course not. Of course not.
Have you looked to next year?
Is that the answer, star quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, have you looked to next year? Next year could be really good for college because there is a possibility that you have Arch Manning, Nico Iamaleava, Lenoris Sellers, Drew Aller.
Gunnar Stockton.
He was omitted from this conversation intentionally. As was Carson Beck, by the way.
He's not getting close to that.
Now, do you see where what I just said could be an issue? It's not an issue for college football. It's an issue for the overlay of NFL fans. I feel like there's a large percentage of people. I mean, just look at the numbers. College football is not as popular as the NFL is. The NFL is the juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
What killed college basketball was that you stopped putting stars in the NBA. Your tournament didn't have stars. The last one was Zion Williamson. And now you've got Cooper Flagg, and guess what? You lost everybody, and nobody cares. I don't really see any of those guys as NFL quarterbacks. I mean, Arch is, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's a brand in and of himself.
Nico? Maybe. Maybe if he takes a step forward. Lenoris Sellers? He's a great college quarterback. I don't know that translates to the NFL. It could. It could. But you had a real blip this year. Because you just didn't have elite quarterbacks. You had a lot of mediocre Midwestern dudes. Will Howard and Curtis Rourke and Riley Leonard. And there's nothing sexy about that at all.
Right.
There's nothing sexy about that at all. If it becomes a 2-year problem, like if we're doing the same thing next year with how this should line up, okay, now we've got a legit problem. Because you could overreact to this year and go, whoa, college football is LMNO screwed. I don't necessarily think it's that bad. Do you?
No, I don't think it's screwed at all. I was thoroughly entertained. Sure, the games were a little lopsided, but the fact that I didn't watch less of it because there wasn't a Joe Burrow in it. I mean, is that what you're saying?
Oh, I firmly believe that you did. Oh, you may not be willing to admit it to yourself, but I fully believe that you did. If Joe Burrow had been the quarterback of Ohio State, fact or fiction, that team becomes infinitely more interesting.
Sure, somebody of that caliber, yeah.
That's the problem. You didn't have any of those.
Mm-hmm.
You had a bunch of mediocrity. I mean, because that's at the end of the day, it's what it is. I mean, you look at the games that happened in this playoff. Where did you see really elite play? Yeah, Ohio State was they just smoked virtually everybody that played.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the elite action that you saw? I mean, I don't feel like I'm asking this the right way.
Yeah, no, I'm not
What did you see outside of Ohio State that was elite? Did you feel like Notre Dame was elite beating Georgia? Because I didn't.
I mean,
I felt like Georgia had no quarterback, and it was very, very, very obvious.
That defense failed elite.
Defense felt elite because they're going up against a mediocre offense. They didn't look elite last night, did they? They looked elite against Penn State because Penn State doesn't do anything particularly well.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, that was supposed to be your up and down the field offense. They were down 34-0 before most of us even turned the game on.
Yep.
Arizona State, Texas. You said this multiple times that it was a big snoozer to you.
It was. It was a snooze fest until third quarter.
That was the best game of the playoff. And the only one close was Ohio State, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of games that were just not very action-packed. Tennessee, Ohio State was really over before it even started. Indiana, Notre Dame was over in 10 minutes.
Yep.
SMU, Penn State was over in 10 minutes. Texas, Clemson fans, I know you don't want to admit this, but watching it from a completely objective standpoint, because I don't care about either one of you, that game was really over in 10 minutes. It was only really a question of, is Steve Sarkisian going to get too cute here and screw himself up? The way he did against Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
The way he did against Ohio State. Ohio State, Oregon, over in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame, Georgia, painfully boring. That would be my follow-up to Nancy, who said if it was a Georgia team, yeah, that Georgia-Notre Dame game, I was Seacrest out in the second quarter. I went to a bar, and it was on there, so I did watch the fourth quarter. It was also at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a bad year. I think by any metric, you look at the way this first playoff went, it was a large failure. But you have to not overreact.
And that's probably what is going to lead us to nothing's going to change.
Oh, nothing's going to change for next year because they're bound by the contract. There are certain things that are straight up, there's no doubt they're going to change. And if you don't like it, you can go fly your kite somewhere else.
Yeah.
Conference champions getting the first 4 seeds, that's done. There's no doubt in my mind that's a non-starter at that bargaining table. Group of 5 getting an automatic entry, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback, but you probably just roll over and die on that one.
Mm-hmm. The conference champions having a bye has always been reported as one of the big talking points at the table.
And that's fine.
Apparently, there's a block that really wants it. The question is, how big is that block?
I can answer that for you. It's called
Who are they?
It's called the Group of 5. It's called everybody not in the SEC or the Big Ten. The problem is at some point the big boys are going to look around and go, hey, by the way, the end of this thing, who was it? What do we have left? Oh, 2 Big Ten teams, an SEC team, and a de facto Big Ten team. Yeah, they're an independent, but we know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know who wasn't here? The ACC. You know who wasn't here? The Big 12. You know who wasn't here? The Mountain West. We don't care what you want. We want to make sure that we don't have another down 17%. Because in a one-off, that's bad. You do it 2 years in a row, that's real bad. Because that's where Dr. Pepper and Allstate start going, I think we need to renegotiate the terms of our agreement.
According to how things go, it's got to be a unanimous decision. Whatever change comes has to be unanimous. So you better come with the argument. And I feel like if you get bad numbers from last night, you're going to have no other recourse but to realize that there's something wrong. That we gotta shift this around. Don't repeat the mistakes of this year for the sake of the sport, the revenue. It's only going to keep getting bigger. But like everything, there's a bubble. You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400.
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Kevin Hart here.
We're clear.
Thank you.
Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WPEK. That's code WPEK for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5.
Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Watching Clorox cleanup spray dissolve tough grime in the shower feels like...
Wait, this really just happened? I'm shocked. Underwear and everything?
It feels like being able to zip up your overpacked suitcase on the first try.
Smooth.
With Clorox, clean feels satisfying. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
If you or a loved one have been a victim of crime, the North Carolina Department of Public Safety Office of Victim Compensation Services provides programs to help you find peace of mind. We are here to help you apply for benefits that you may qualify for to recover from hardships such as lost wages and medical expenses. To learn more, visit ncdps.gov/4victims. That's ncdps.gov/4VICTIMS.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford of Hendersonville. Our purpose, to improve lives with every interaction. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. Like Daniel, a veteran who accompanied law enforcement and other veterans to perform search and rescue operations. Like Spencer, who helped build a bridge out of debris to rescue 7 families after the road was washed away. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com.
It's time to discover the convenience and time savings of contact-free pickup with Ingles Curbside. Just visit shop.ingles-markets.com or download the app. And your Ingles personal shopper gets to work with specialized training on how to select the freshest items for a pre-scheduled pickup. They'll even text you with updates. You pull up to a designated space and your personal shopper delivers your items right to your vehicle. Fresh, fast, and affordable. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we found out a lot of things about our community. We saw neighbors helping neighbors, and we learned in desperate times one of the best things to have around is a redneck with a chainsaw.
Not just a chainsaw, boy, just country boys in general. When you live in these mountains, you figure it out. Like, you make stuff happen.
After answering the calls for help that they heard on the radio, the Chainsaw Brothers are still here, making it happen the right way. Fair, insured, and local. Need tree help? Call the Chainsaw Brothers. 316-1013. 316-1013.
The Sportsocracy.
You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
All right, so far so good. We've made it through the cold. Coldest night, though, is most likely going to be tonight by a degree or two from where we were earlier today. And again, the snow going south-southeast of us, unusual indeed. Partial sun, 25 today. Tonight, breezy, cloudy, maybe a flurry early, then clear, 5 above, wind chills below 0. Sun back tomorrow, 32. From the Weather Channel, I'm Ray Stajic.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Watching Clorox cleanup spray dissolve tough grime in the shower feels like...
Wait, this really just happened? I'm shocked. Underwear and everything?
It feels like being able to zip up your overpacked suitcase on the first try.
Smooth.
With Clorox, clean feels satisfying. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart radio station.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website, Bills. That's Bills. Enter it now.
You got to get in to win. Go to ESPNAVL.com, and good luck.
The Sportsocracy.
It fires me up, man. I love it. Say it one more time.
The Sportsocracy.
Shake it back!
Beer City's best sports talk.
It is gross.
Just earlier.
They are mature, actually. You just have to get to know them better.
Your lunchtime dose of dumbassery. Live from the Ingalls studio.
It is ESPN Asheville. The Sportsocracy is live in the Ingalls studio on 92.9 FM, 880 AM, 1400. And, of course, heard everywhere you go on the iHeart Radio app. You can see us everywhere on YouTube. Just go to thesportsocracy.com, click that live video link, subscribe to the channel, and that way you can join us in the chat, all your thoughts in on college football playoff championship game last night. Again, congratulations to Ohio State. You know, that high-price roster, it really came in handy last night. All that talent bringing you a title. Ryan Day finally gets it done and takes his name off of all of the hot seat discussions. NFL coaching carousel continues to spin. Yesterday,
and we're about to get an acceleration today.
Oh, are there more coming?
There's one that'll be done by the end of the day. I have on, unless something really stupid happens.
Is this the Aaron Glenn to the Jets?
Yes. Yeah, New Orleans got kind of hosed. They have there's a storm, and I saw a few people in the chat talking about it's snowing in Alabama. It's snowing in Mississippi. Yeah, it's snowing in Louisiana too, and that's going to preclude Aaron Glenn from getting there for a few days, which means he's with the Jets today, and they do not intend on letting him leave that building.
So may have been sniped by the weather down in New Orleans. Yeah, Gulfport, Mississippi, I think, what was that Gambit fan said? Gulfport, Mississippi had like 3 inches of snow.
Gomaha said it's really coming down in New Orleans right now.
Wow.
Is it supposed to snow here? I feel like it's been snowing here for a month.
This is one of those rare systems that is going to actually bring snow to the coast and not us. It's going to miss us, but Wilmington's probably going to get some snow.
Huh.
This is the way the weather pattern shook out on this one. It's going to go right underneath us. So
just as long as it's warm next week. Because I got news for you. Driving 500 miles to Alabama, I really don't want to get down there and it be snowing.
All right.
We're going to be fine. The day we get there next week, high temperature is 65. Today, 3 to 6 inches of snow. Timed that well.
Yeah, timed that very, very well. We got a super chat and the YouTube.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
This one also from Eamon. He says, Raider Nation, get comfortable with Pete Carroll.
Well,
apparently he's going to be the hire there for the head coaching position.
I've heard Pete Carroll. I've heard Robert Saleh. I can tell you they're not going to get their number one choice, which was Benjamin Nathaniel Johnson III.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Ben Johnson, the AC Reynolds grad, is going to the Chicago Bears. Now that you've had some time to think about it, have you come up with some reasons why this was a good idea for Ben to do?
I am going to enact my Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate myself.
Cannot do it.
No, I because I don't get it. I do look at that Bears roster and what you just raw talent. You've got all the talent in the world, but you're tied to a quarterback that I do not love the way he fits with Ben. And look, Jared Goff is physically limited. But outside of two just god-awful disaster games, he stays on schedule. He stays on pace. Caleb Williams does not. Mm-hmm. And I see that, and I love Ben. I think Ben is such a smart offensive mind, and if anybody can make it work with Caleb Williams, it's him. I would say Caleb Williams' bust percentage went from 97% to 75% in one day.
I could get down with that. I trust Ben as a coach, right? He's been around the league. He's obviously showed in Detroit that he's one of the top play callers in the league. Has, a historic offense, or built a historic. They're really good. And then he's going to a place where he is going to have weapons to work with. Yes, he's got a lot of work to do on the quarterback, but there again, maybe Ben can teach him those things. Maybe he can get him on time, right? Jared Goff, he was full Jared Goff when he got to Detroit. And now, before the last game, we were talking about, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Top 8? Is that what we were saying last week?
I would say that's about right, yes.
So who's to say that Ben can't come in with early in the stages of Caleb Williams' career and turn him around a la Dave Canales just did with Bryce Young? Best case scenario, I get it. That's pie in the sky. But do you trust anybody more than Ben to do that?
No. And look, he will be improved. There's no doubt in my mind that Caleb Williams will be an improved quarterback in 2025. The question is by how much. What has always been my problem with Caleb Williams, there's no chance he's going to live up to what people think he is. Just not going to happen.
Not everybody, no.
Do you know? So last year,
some people think he's the greatest. What was the greatest generational talent since Andrew Luck?
Yep.
No,
those people are morons. That's if coming into this, if you thought that, okay, I think you were really lazy in your evaluation, but so be it. If after one full year of it you still think that, I can't help you. He played every single game last year. All right, 17 games for the Chicago Bears. Do you know how many times he had a PFF grade over 63?
I'll go one.
It happened 6 times the whole year. 3 of them were back-to-back-to-back against the Rams, the Panthers, and the Jaguars. 2 more were back-to-back against the Packers and the Vikings, and there was another one against the Lions. Hey, what all those teams have in common?
Not great defenses.
They blitz a lot. All of them blitz a lot. And you know why his quarterback grade was so high? Because he ran constantly. That's the one thing he showed he could do in year 1, was he can run.
Okay.
I don't think he's very difficult to scheme against because all I have to do is confuse his eyes and he will take off and run. I've never in my life seen a quarterback that is so afraid of making a mistake to this point. He is afraid of making mistakes to the point of he doesn't want to push anything. Does that strike you as what you saw out of Jared Goff the last 3 years?
No.
Look, I think this can work. The question is Ben going to come in and just say, look, scoreboard. My track record is great. Your track record is not. Let me mold you into an NFL quarterback. If that's the case, and I'm not going to lie to you, I can't wait to ask Ben this question at the Combine. Because when he does his media availability, I guarantee you I will be standing front and center at that podium to ask this question. Mm-hmm. Walk me through your plan for Caleb Williams.
My number one job is building him an offensive line. Because, I mean, that offensive line wasn't good this year, or was that all Caleb's fault?
Oh, weird. We talk about PFF grades. How many of the starting 5 offensive linemen of the Chicago Bears, how many of them didn't finish in the top 21 at their own position?
I have no idea.
It's none of them.
4 of them.
They all did.
Really?
They all did. It's a myth. It's always been a myth.
So all the sacks are Caleb's problem of holding on to the ball too long?
Caleb holds on to the ball entirely too long. He doesn't trust his eyes, and he would rather take the sack than risk the interception. That's really hard to work out of a guy, especially when you have weapons like this. I think the most mind-boggling thing that I have seen on our socials over the last week is the number of Bear fans that are talking about how Jaden Daniels would have come into the albatross that is the Chicago Bears and gone 4-13. Are you out of your mind? Like, are you smoking crimes? Because the Bears were an exponentially better opportunity than Washington. Jaden Daniels made the opportunity in Washington. He took a bunch of has-beens and Terry McLaurin to the NFC Championship game. Caleb Williams was born on third base, acted like he hit a triple, and then ran backwards and got tagged out. I don't have a whole lot of reason to believe that that's not going to happen again.
Except this time he'll have better coaching.
This time he has his third play caller in 10 months. And look, Ben was the best hire on the board. I am shocked Ben looked at that job and went, that's what I want to do. Because the Kevin Warren thing did not get solved. The Ryan Poles thing did not get solved. So now, what you said, and all right, let's take over the fact that the offensive line being absolutely awful is a myth. Let's just say it wasn't. You do understand that the guy that's building that line is the same 2 idiots that haven't been able to do it for the last 3 years. Because these guys are brutally terrible at drafting guys in the trenches. You didn't fix that problem. It's the same scouting staff. It's the same everything. And you think because Ben Johnson comes in with a really creative offense that's going to fix everything. It doesn't. It doesn't fix your problems. You still don't draft well. You have one high-level defensive player in the front 4. You traded for him. You didn't draft him. You traded for him. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a coaching hire that mystified me more.
Well, I mean, if he's looking for room for improvement, there's plenty of room for improvement.
For sure.
With the Chicago Bears.
But what does
all right,
so what does Ben have to do for Caleb Williams to live up to the hype?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, again, he'll never live up to the hype. The original hype.
So what you're telling me is this is a zero-sum game?
For Caleb, yes.
Well, I mean, Caleb and Ben are now completely tied to each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's no path where Ben is successful and Caleb is not.
You're probably right.
I was about to say, name it. I cannot wait to hear this.
I mean, if they're being held back by their quarterback, if it's obvious that Caleb is not getting it, how does the rest of and performs poorly, how does the rest of the team look? Right? How does Ben divest himself from Caleb? It's a good question. Can't be
Well, I mean,
done.
you're not going to, because you won't get the amount of leash that the Chicago Bears will give Caleb Williams, because they are so beholden to him, because they made the trade on Bryce Young. They got all the pieces. They've got DJ Moore they're paying high-level money to. They've got Rome Odunze that they took in the top 10. You've got one of the better tight ends in the league. You got Keenan Allen. You're all in on Caleb Williams. There's no tapping out on this. There's no, I'm going to turn it over to Tyson Bagent. There's no bringing in a veteran to compete with Caleb. The way this job was pitched, and I guarantee this, this is not off the top of my head. I'll promise you this is how this was pitched. We need somebody that can fix Caleb Williams. We will give you anything you want for that. They ponied up the money for him to go get Dennis Allen to keep the defense and even improve the defense. So to me, you're going to have a bordering on elite defense, top 10 in the NFL defense. You've got all the weapons you could ever want. And you got a quarterback that you don't have, there's not a plan B. You have to make this work. Mm-hmm. If anybody can do it, it's Ben. I just don't understand why that would be the one that you would go, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. It made way more sense to me to take an equally challenging job with the Raiders in a place where you might have gotten more control. I don't know what the conversations were. I don't know the inside and out of the negotiations and what was promised and what sold this to Ben. It just doesn't look like the best scenario. I'm trying to figure out how this makes sense. And maybe it's just plain and simple. Ben sees something in Caleb that he can change, that he can work with. Ben's a smart guy. We talked about this over and over again. And he wouldn't put himself into a position knowingly that he doesn't think he can make work. The way his offense
for
has
sure,
been running
he thinks
Detroit,
he can make this work.
Now that he has a quarterback that is more mobile, maybe he can teach him the fundamentals. Maybe he can teach him more timing. Maybe he can teach him to be a master of the the play action game, the RPO game.
And look, that's the high side for Caleb Williams. Daniel Vales in the YouTube chat said, with how many drops Keenan Allen has, he's terrible. Okay. All right.
Well, I think he already say he was either going back to L.A. or he was done?
Didn't
I see that report?
I've heard that report. I've not seen it actually directly attributed to him.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say he didn't say it. Right. I would also, and hey, why do you think that is? Keenan Allen said, you know what? I want away from here. Why could that possibly be? Because he's looking at Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams about drove him crazy last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you want to do that? Do you that's like one of us going to work, at a new place and they'd put an 18-year-old in charge of our department. Like I don't want to do this. I don't want my job security to be tied up into somebody I can't trust that can do his job.
You want to hear a great stat about Keenan Allen? Yeah. Since I took away the first 2 years because he had some injury issues, and he really had. So I'll go from 2017. This is his catch percentage by year. 64.2, 71.3, 69.8, 68, 67.5, 74.2, 72, 57.9. Which year do you think was with Caleb Williams?
Yeah, it was the 57.9.
And the drops that we're talking about with Keenan Allen, do you know how many actual attributed drops he had in 2024? 6. Because for it to be a drop, it had to be a catchable ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually actively looking at if you search StatMuse for who was the drop leader in the NFL, they put up Keenan Allen with no stats whatsoever. Jerry Jeudy was the NFL's drop leader in 2024. I look at a guy like Keenan Allen and go, you couldn't make it work with one of the most consistent receivers in the NFL when he's on the field. And I get it. The Eberflus thing was a disaster. Shane Waldron was a disaster, which shout out to all of the Seattle fans that said that.
Right.
I get it. This is your best chance for Caleb to work. And Vales has a good point. He had a lot of issues with footwork. But why did he have an issue with footwork? He had the same issue at USC. So you've now had two offensive coordinators in the NFL and Lincoln Riley that could not fix that. Why is that? Why do guys have, historically, why do guys have issues with their feet? Where does that come from?
I do not know the answer to that.
It's uncomfort. You're not comfortable in the pocket, so your feet get happy because you don't know where the pass rush is coming from because you can't diagnose what you're looking at. And I watched this on tape 100 times with Caleb Williams last year. I know what you're seeing. I know exactly what you're seeing. And see, I have the benefit of watching the play through, and I know what's coming. You didn't. I know what you saw because they're disguising everything. That's how all of these teams dealt with him. That was my point about teams that blitz a lot. You know what's really easy to make you tip your hand when you're doing? Blitzing. You know what's not easy to make you tip your hand on? When you drop. Because there's no way for me to make you move. I send the guy in motion. Oh, he's dropping out. It has nothing to do with the alignment of the play. I don't know where you're going. That screwed with Caleb Williams against every zone team they played. It was the easiest thing in DraftKings and fantasy football in 2024. High-end zone team, play the defense. Because they're not going to score points at a high level. Look, Ben can fix it. If anybody can, it's Ben. I don't believe in the prospect that you're trying to fix.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been the job I would have selected. Wish Ben all the luck in the world. He comes from a great family right here in Western North Carolina. AC Reynolds alum, and he will have our full support.
Oh, I hope he's super successful.
But
I love Rome Odunze.
You're free from criticism, and I feel like this might not have been the best decision.
By the way, your what you said about Keenan Allen's plans.
Yeah,
he said it's either the two LA teams or Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So Chicago was an option.
Yeah, he said he spoke about a potential reunion with the Chargers, the other team in Los Angeles, the Rams, or a return to Chicago.
Okay. For some reason, I left that whole Chicago thing out because probably in my head I went, well, that's the thing you have to say right now. But why would you want to go play with Caleb Williams one more again when last year was the worst season of your life? Just me. You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville.
This is the story of the one.
Clear.
Maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention, which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Watching Clorox cleanup spray dissolve tough grime in the shower feels like...
Wait, this really just happened? Oh, I'm shocked. Underwear and everything?
It feels like being able to zip up your overpacked suitcase on the first try.
Smooth.
With Clorox, clean feels satisfying. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure. Dewy skin.
Terrific. Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare.
Wow. With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford of Hendersonville. I would like to introduce you to some of our very own Parks community heroes. Like Eric, who hosted the football team to support their neighbors and begin the cleanup efforts. Like Jeff and Chris, who led a fleet of Ford commercial vehicles throughout the night, delivering supplies with emergency services to all corners of the county and first responders. Nominate your community hero at parkscommunityheroes.com. That's parkscommunityheroes.com. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com.
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. Need to whip up a dessert, entree, side dish? No problem. The experts from the Ingalls Table take you through it step by step with expert tips and advice along the way. Find the Ingalls Table at ingalls-markets.com or swing by the store and pick up your free copy of the Ingalls Table magazine. And let's get cooking. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the mountains, you need to call the agents at Clarissa Sells WNC, brokered by eXp Realty. Check us out online at clarissasellswnc.com. Download our free app on Google Play or the App Store. Type in Asheville Home Search. You'll be able to connect with our team and see all the available homes for sale in our area. For more information, contact us today at 828-774-6343 or clarissasellswnc@gmail.com.
The Sportsocracy.
Why are you smiling? Because I love football.
We are back in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville and heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, seen everywhere on YouTube. And Daniel Vales, no, I'm not saying that a mid-30s wide receiver can't drop off and have, the worst season of his life. I mean, of course that could be the case. Jeremy, do you think that Keenan Allen's woes this year were because he just lost it?
I think there are a lot of things that went into play in Chicago. The problem with Chicago is there are always a lot of problems in Chicago. I mean, you go back 20 years. Name me the year that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. How many quarterbacks do you have to break before I look at you and go, not a great place for a quarterback to land? Feel the same way about the Cleveland Browns. Feel the same way about my New York Jets.
Yep.
So now because you hired an offensive coach who we love, he's from 8 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. Oh, well, grew up 8 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. He's the best chance you had. But am I going to be shocked if this doesn't work? Sorry, I'm not.
No.
I'm apologies, I'm not. Especially not when I think this is a super flawed quarterback. I also think your hierarchy is completely broken. Because that Kevin Warren, the Kevin Warren Ryan Poles thing, that's the reason I had been told he wasn't taking this job. And I wouldn't be comfortable with it either. It's been a power struggle for 2 years. And I just don't want to be in the middle of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of risk.
And now I'm very interested to see what the change in the roster is going to be. Do they keep a DeAndre Swift, who was in Detroit and Ben wanted to go another direction?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think to run Ben's offense, you've got to have a running back that you can consistently count on. I wouldn't be shocked if they invested in a running back, whether it was through free agency or the draft. It wouldn't shock me in the least.
Mm-hmm. Bring in like a Quinshaw Judkins or Travion Henderson.
We'll get into that more with because none of the draft running backs really fit exactly what I would be looking for. The one that would have fit would have been Nick Singleton, but he went back to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Vale said Genty with pick 10. I'm not going to lie to you. I almost said that about 30 seconds ago. That crossed my mind. As soon as I saw this, I went, Ben was part of an administration that went, we're going to take a running back at 14.
13? Or 14, whatever it was.
Or it might have been 13. They were trying to keep him away from the Jets, who had
Mm-hmm.
No, it's 14 because the Jets had 15 or 16. I can't remember now. I'm so locked into this draft that I don't remember.
But that would rely on him selling Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, whoever's making that decision, and whoever's allegedly fighting over that decision. Now you're a third voice in the decision-making process. That goes along the lines of, was this the right job for a first-time head coach?
And that is my aversion to it. It's not really the roster. I don't love your quarterback, but in terms of the roster, I would rather have that Bears roster than the Raiders. I would rather have that Bears roster than Jacksonville. I just looked at Jacksonville and thought, Ben Johnson's probably the guy they were talking about. They would fire Trent Baalke if he wanted his guy in control. And I get Trevor Lawrence as opposed to Caleb Williams.
Although Ben Johnson did he did work for Stephen Ross at one time, so maybe he's not afraid of anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he got a voice in the I think Ben's going to have a voice in the room. We have a super chat before we go into the break.
All right.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
It's from Soaring Eagle, who said, also, the second they enter a slump of any kind, Ben's getting all the flack from the fan base. I'm not going to say I disagree with what you just said. I believe, and maybe I'm being naive here, I think Ben Johnson is such a high-level candidate that you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. And what I mean by that is I don't think the fan base will turn on him as quickly as they did Eberflus.
As long as there's still progress. Like, he has to go down the Dave Canales path. Ever since I thought about that analogy, I can't get away from it. He has to go down that path. Like, it can start real rough, but by the end of the next season, there better be some market improvement that you can point to.
I agree with that, but this is different.
The heat will turn up if there's not.
And it's, again, not totally disagreeing with you. I just think this is different. Look at the last, 8 coaches for the Bears. You name me the guy that came in with this kind of track record, this kind of hype. I mean, because in order backwards, it's Thomas Brown, Matt Eberflus, Matt Nagy, John Fox, Mark Trestman, Lovie Smith, Dick Geron, Dave Wanstadt. Sorry, none of those guys come in with this pedigree.
No.
None of them.
None of them come in with that hype. I mean, John Fox came in as a guy who had taken a team to a Super Bowl. Right? Wasn't that after?
Yes.
Lovie Smith, same thing. I mean, he took you to a Super Bowl and had been on staffs that had been deep in the playoffs.
That was Lovey's first job, but those are, in large part, those are almost all defensive guys. The only 2 offensive guys you've hired were Matt Nagy and Mark Trestman, and this is something that fan base has screamed for years. Yes. And Trestman was an also-ran CFL coach. That the only team in the NFL that would employ him was the Raiders, and Matt Nagy was Andy Reid's right hand.
Right.
That was the start of the, hey, maybe we ought not do that.
Yeah, no, there has not been this type of hype around a Chicago coach. I will agree with that. The pressure is going to turn up if they don't see results. There is a leash, obviously, but expectations have already been knocked down by this year. So I don't feel like it's going to be an immediate, they come out and, don't do well the first 5 weeks of the seaon? Is it just going to be the same cycle over again? Bears fans just screaming this was a mistake and we're done with this? The leash should be longer than that.
I would think so. I don't think it's going to go that way, but it might. I should not be naive enough to say that a fan base that is this desperate to win is going to give a guy as much runway as a team that has won recently would.
Yeah.
I just think Ben is different.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
They do call them fanatics for a reason, right? They're not always the most level-headed people.
For sure.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on
Clear.
ESPN Asheville.
All right, so far so good. We've made it through the cold. Coldest night, though, is most likely going to be tonight by a degree or two from where we were earlier today. And again, the snow going south-southeast of us, unusual indeed. Partial sun, 25 today. Tonight, breezy, cloudy, maybe a flurry early, then clear, 5 above, wind chills below 0. Sun back tomorrow, 32. From the Weather Channel, I'm Ray Stajic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Kevin Hart here for DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WPEK. That's code WPEK for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5.
Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your nature-made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we found out a lot of things about our community. We saw neighbors helping neighbors, and we learned in desperate times one of the best things to have around is a redneck with a chainsaw.
Not just a chainsaw, boy, just country boys in general. When you live in these mountains, you figure it out. Like, you make stuff happen.
After answering the calls for help that they heard on the radio, the Chainsaw Brothers are still here, making it happen the right way. Fair, insured, and local. Need tree help? Call the Chainsaw Brothers. 316-1013. 316-1013.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the mountains, you need to call the agents at Clarissa Sells WNC, brokered by eXp Realty. Check us out online at clarissasellswnc.com. And did I mention that Clarissa Sells WNC loves teachers? We love teachers so much, we're giving back 25% of our commission at closing. For more information, contact us today at 828-774-6343 or clarissasellswnc@gmail.com.
At Ingles Weather, we're celebrating Friday night rivals, televising college basketball games, bringing the Fan Fest to semi-pro soccer, or taking you out to the ball game at your minor league park. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford, Hendersonville. I would like to introduce you to some of our very own Parks Community Heroes, like Jeff and Chris, who led a fleet of Ford commercial vehicles throughout the night, delivering supplies with emergency services to all corners of the county and first responders. Like Daniel, a veteran, who accompanied law enforcement and other veterans to perform search and rescue operations. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. That's parkscommunityheroes.com. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com.
On the weird scale, there's Vegas, there's Florida, and there's Asheville. Let's get weird, Asheville.
It is ESPN Asheville. Jeremy, you're getting ready to take a little trip down to Alabama, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Going to the Mobile area, right?
That is correct.
There is a place near Mobile, Alabama that is called Cypress Shores.
I swear I thought this was a Floribama, or is that what it's called? Floribama or something like that? That's where I thought you were headed with this.
Yeah, no. The Cypress Shores is a town just south of Mobile, and there's this place called Tillman's Corner. There's a Starbucks barista who got the surprise of a lifetime the other day. Ended up having to get stitches and a couple of shots after a customer came through the drive-thru and her pet monkeys jumped through her car window into the drive-thru window and attacked the barista. There
Come
has
again?
to be a special Yes. This woman had 2 monkeys in her car that are her pets.
By any chance, was this woman married to the special teams coordinator at Texas? Because if you recall, we did a story very similar to this not long ago.
I do kind of remember that. Excuse me, there was a typo in the story. So the first reference was to monkeys. Apparently, it was just one monkey that jumped through the window, attacking the barista at 8:30 in the morning. I can't think of a worse way to start my day.
Other than being attacked by a therapy support monkey?
Excuse me, ma'am. Here's your monkey. Oh, God. Monkey jumps through the window. The barista did the only thing that, her core instincts told her to do, which was apparently she grabbed the monkey as it was on her and threw it back through the window. like just returning a stuffed animal in a pillow fight to the woman. That is the most frightening story I think I've ever heard. And the girl ended up having to get stitches on the cuts and had to get like rabies shots and stuff. The owner of the animal, quote, could face charges. She better. I don't care how old this woman is.
What exactly does that charge look like?
Harboring a dangerous animal. I don't know. Assault with a deadly monkey.
Alrighty then. My story is about champagne. Tank, did you know that in the last calendar year, sales of champagne have dropped over 10%?
Not shocked. It's highly overrated.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. But the higher-ups, including president of Comet Champagne, Maxime Taubart, has an explanation. Said that there's no time for celebration with inflation, conflicts around the world, economic uncertainty, and a political wait-and-see attitude in some of Champagne's biggest markets. So let me get this straight. You're saying that the world climate is what is affecting the sale of the most overrated beverage in the world. Or maybe it's just as time goes on, more people are figuring out, oh, this is not awesome. We should have not this.
I've never understood the appeal of champagne.
So New Year's Eve, we were with some friends before the Peach Bowl, and they brought the champagne toast around. I drank like 8 of them because everybody went, I'm not drinking this. And they just handed them to me like, okay, all right, that's. I believe we got a little stereotypical here because you looked at the fat guy and went, it's booze. He'll drink it. Oh, Bill Workman, he wins.
Oh, we can't say that.
Oh, I think we totally could. I think we totally could because he's not wrong.
Yeah.
I also have another short story that didn't age so well over the last couple of days.
Oh, okay.
It's about a strip club in Las Vegas. It's called Little Darlings. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they have an employee issue. They don't have enough employees for the amount of demand that they have for employees. So, with the recent unease with the future of TikTok, they decided to put out an advertisement saying they are now auditioning TikTok influencers.
You're going to need a job at some point.
I think it's brilliant. I really do. I think it's brilliant.
Well, they got a reprieve for now.
For now.
You got a reprieve.
I'm still not putting anything into TikTok until I see a plan that's ultimately not going to.
Well, we got to wait. We got to wait and see if Mr. Wonderful buys it.
I don't really care who buys it. Frankly, I'd just like to stop talking about it.
Well, you got to get it out of the hands of China. To begin with.
It's a huge problem.
It is a huge problem.
They're making us dumber with their videos. People's recipes, terrible. Must put it back into American.
The coaching carousel continues to turn as Jeremy told us. It appears that Aaron Glenn, in line to get the New York Jets job, he's
full on.
They're going to let him into the building today. They're going to pour some honey in his ear, tell him all the things he wants to hear, and then go, what is it going to take for us to give you a key card right now?
And I don't really see anything that's going to preclude it. Everything I've heard, that's the job he wants anyway. So, I mean, it all makes sense. Aaron Glenn takes that job. I'm really interested to see who his offensive coordinator would be. But, I mean, Aaron Glenn running that defense? Okay. I've had things that excited me less.
Mm-hmm. The question is, how is he going to be as a head coach? Because you were real excited when Rob Saleh took over as well.
And I still think Robert Saleh was a good coach. I don't think he fit the New York market. I don't think he had the trust of Woody Johnson, and I think the higher ups in that organization we'll say they struggle with certain things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We still have the Raiders' job to be decided. Some rumors are that Pete Carroll's close to getting that job. The New Orleans Saints, well,
that feels like it's Mike McCarthy or bust.
The weather's causing problems down there, but Mike McCarthy is the move that makes a lot of sense. Have they completed the interview with him yet? Because I've only seen it reported that he was going to interview.
I can answer that question right now.
Completed interviews. Mike Kafka, Aaron Glenn, Kellen Moore, Joe Brady, Darren Rizzi, Anthony Weaver.
They have not completed the interview with McCarthy.
Okay. Those are the ones that I'm seeing are completed. But it's been said that they also wanted to talk to McCarthy, Kingsbury, who's still playing in the playoffs, and David Shaw from Stanford.
Yes. I believe the Saints' job, comes down to Mike Kafka, Mike McCarthy, and Anthony Weaver. And if I were a betting man, I would say it's Mike McCarthy. Which is funny because he's the one I would like the least of those three.
But what? They're just going to go with the proven coach, quote unquote. That's who Gail will get behind.
Well,
her and her fine self.
I was about to say Sir Jimothy just had blood come out of his ear the way you said that. That's been the rumor around the league for a week. Is if Mike McCarthy were to hit the open market, the Bears would be super interested. The Saints would be super interested. The Bears did have a sit down with McCarthy, and then all of a sudden, that's when they completely turned their eyes on Ben Johnson. I believe, and now I could be wrong here, I believe the NFL on the whole did not think that the Lions were going to be stopped short of the Super Bowl. And so mentally, teams had prepared to have to go another direction, as opposed to Aaron Glenn and as opposed to Ben Johnson. When Detroit got eliminated, it put a lit road flare under the Chicago Bears to go get their guy, and that's what they did. Mm-hmm. I think it did the same thing with the Jets to go get their guy. We're going to bring him in this building, and we're not going to let him leave until we have an agreement. And I'm waiting for that announcement any second.
All right, what about the Jacksonville job?
The Jaguars job, according to my sources, is down to basically Liam Cohen, Patrick Graham, and Robert Saleh. And I firmly believe Robert Saleh is the favorite.
Okay.
Wouldn't shock me if it was Liam Cohen. It would shock me if it was Patrick Graham.
Mm-hmm. Why would it shock you if it was Patrick Graham?
I know they've long had a fondness for him. I'm just not really sure how you sell that to the fan base. Liam Cohen, I get it. Look what he just did with the Buccaneers offense. He did that with Baker Mayfield. What do you think he can do with Trevor Lawrence? Mm-hmm. I even understand how you could sell Robert Saleh. He had a top 5 defense in New York literally every second he was there. The minute he left, the defense fell apart. And he would bring Mike LaFleur with him. I'm pretty confident. Not 100% confident, but pretty confident.
Mm-hmm. Patrick Graham doesn't have the greatest resume coming from Las Vegas.
No, it's just kind of a tough sell. I'm not saying they wouldn't do it, and I know they're really fond of him. Everything I'm hearing steers into that job's going to be either Liam Cohen or Robert Saleh.
Well, I mean, Patrick Graham is a name that does fall into that Ejiro Evero category.
Great coach with mediocre results.
Right, well-respected around the league. Everybody feels like he's going to be a head coach at some point. When there's an opening, we want to bring him in. We want to kind of kick the tires on that thing. But when it comes to selling that to the fan base, right, who's getting excited over bringing in a guy whose defense was not top of the league?
Well, I mean, virtually every candidate on the board has a great big yeah, bud. There are no home run hires here. This is what we warned you of. This is the reason that the Bears were talking about interviewing Marcus Freeman. And they went down the Matt Campbell rabbit hole and Pete Carroll. There's there's a lot of yeah, but to everybody in this cycle. I saw.
And speaking of,
I don't know. I lost the name now. Andreas Pinckney said that they're looking at Joe Brady and Mike McCarthy. The problem with Joe Brady is that there's a great chance you're going to have to wait 3 weeks to hire him. We run into this a lot. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing you really do, every one of these teams' objective is to have a coach by this time next week.
For what purpose?
Well, the Senior Bowl's next week.
For the
Shrine Bowl's next
scouting
week.
Purposes.
You've already missed the Hula Bowl. I mean, you got a lot of the scouting department doesn't change. That's one of the things that if I had this completely wrong going into this, I've learned a lot in the few years working here. The scouting department's going to stay the same. It doesn't matter who the coach is. If you're going to make changes in the scouting department, you're going to make those changes in May. But you do have to get the coach and the scouts and the GM and all of these guys on the same page to figure out what your strategy moving forward is. Because you got to remember, free agency is, a month and a half away? This isn't like Madden where it just opens on March 15th and you go, hey, look, that guy's there. Let's go talk to him. No, there's planning to this, and there's priorities and who you really want, where you want to allocate your dollars. This takes time. You got to get the salary cap people involved. You really don't want to have to wait until, the Super Bowl's February 9th. So, I mean, you're talking about February 11th or 12th before you could officially hire a guy? Now, Joe Brady the Bills lose this weekend to the Chiefs. A, most of us will be sad. B, New Orleans might make a harder run at Joe Brady.
We shall see. You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM at 1400. There is one job we haven't talked about yet, and I just saw a new name interviewing for that job. It might be worth talking about when we come back.
Oh, could this vintage store be...
And we're clear.
Right?
That'd be Brian Schottenheimer you're referring to?
Yes. I had not seen that.
Think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Just
I laughed a lot when I saw that.
Come on, baby, get with...
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hard-working tools at hard-working prices. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
At Haywood Regional Medical Center, your health means everything. In an emergency, every minute matters. Get to the hospital and get the care that you need as soon as possible. Haywood Regional's emergency department provides quality care, including advanced heart care at their accredited chest pain center. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your health is nothing to wait for. For more information and to check average ER wait times, visit myhaywoodregional.com. That's myhaywoodregional.com.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams winter sale and get 30% off paints and stains January 17th through the 27th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only, some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Mountain Graphics and Showtime Sports have teamed up under a new local owner to serve our community with the finest custom apparel and unique branded items at the best price. Mountain Graphics and Showtime Sports can customize whatever you, your team, or your local group may need with high-quality screen printing, embroidery, and laser engraving. Visit mtngraphicsavl.com or showtimesportsavl.com. That's mtngraphicsavl.com or showtimesportsavl.com for your local one-stop custom apparel shops.
Do better, be better every day. That's the Parks Promise. Our mission, to improve lives with every interaction. This is JW, General Manager at Parks Ford Hendersonville. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com. That's parksfordhendersonville.com.
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. The experts from the Ingalls Table take you through it step by step with expert tips and advice along the way. Just visit ingalls-markets.com. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we found out a lot of things about our community. We saw neighbors helping neighbors, and we learned in desperate times one of the best things to have around is a redneck with a chainsaw.
Not just a chainsaw, boy, just country boys in general. When you live in these mountains, you figure it out. Like, you make stuff happen.
After answering the calls for help that they heard on the radio, the Chainsaw Brothers are still here, making it happen the right way. Fair, insured, and local. Need tree help? Call the Chainsaw Brothers. 316-1013. 316-1013.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
All right, so far so good. We've made it through the cold. Coldest night, though, is most likely going to be tonight by a degree or two from where we were earlier today. And again, the snow going south-southeast of us, unusual indeed. Partial sun, 25 today. Tonight, breezy, cloudy. Maybe a flurry early, then clear 5 above, wind chills below 0. Sun back tomorrow, 32. From the Weather Channel, I'm Ray Stajic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get 60% off, free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Do better, be better every day. That's the Parks Promise. Our mission, to improve lives with every interaction. This is JW, General Manager at Parks Ford Hendersonville. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com. That's parksfordhendersonville.com.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check that your seats aren't in the visitor section first, before buying tickets.
I'm so excited for this game. I can't believe you got us tickets.
Me too. Wait, are we on the wrong side?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
This is going to be a long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website, check. That's check. Enter it now.
You got to get in to win. Go to ESPNAVL.com, and good luck.
Live from the Ingalls studio.
I can't wait to play with myself every day.
The Sportsocracy.
Damn the devil to hell! Let the big dog see! Let him on the field!
Come get you some of this.
Fire them cannons! By golly, put more powder in those things.
He couldn't take any more disappointment.
Oh my God. The Jets killed him.
It is ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM and 1400. The Sportsocracy is live in the Ingalls studio and heard everywhere you go on the iHeart Radio app. I'm Tank Spencer. I'm live in the Ingalls studio. He's Jeremy Green, and he is not in the Ingalls studio. He is actually at Mullet Manor.
Getting completely prepared, locked in on the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Let's go.
That's right. He is at the NFLDraft.net Mullet Manor. We should brand that.
I think we should. Just get a big NFLDraft.net sign to put over the front door.
Yes. He's in the draft cave.
Oh, I've been doing film breakdowns. There's a lot to do, Tank. There's a lot to do.
Indeed. You want to check it out, you can join the Patreon. It's got all of the links up on the social medias as well as the sportsocracy.com. Get in on all of the insider knowledge that Flostradamus can bring at ESPN Draft Nerd on the Twitter machine, or X, I guess we have to call it that. Since Elon's like second in line. We have to call it what he wants us to call it now.
All hail real life Batman.
That's it.
Hail.
In the coaching carousel, the Dallas Cowboys. It's been reported that they've talked to Deion Sanders. It's been reported that they may want to. I don't think they have talked to him, but they may want to talk to
Jason Witten.
What? Jeez, Lord. Jason Witten about the head coaching job. And then the story came out earlier today that they may not bring anybody in from outside the building. They may just hire from within. And it's not even Mike Zimmer, even though he has been reported as getting some interest for this job. No, it's Brian Schottenheimer.
Shotty. Yeah, that would be the most Dallas Cowboy thing in the history of time.
He's got a lot of respect in the building, they say.
Sure he does. I'm sure he makes a mean pot of coffee.
I don't feel like this goes well. I can't remember the last time this went real well, when you hired from the staff of the guy you just fired.
Well, I mean, look, Brian Schottenheimer's been around the NFL for a long time, and I can't tell you that he's not a respected guy. I'm actually shocked at how young he is because I feel like he's been in this league for 40 years. He's just never been wildly successful. I mean, just look at where he's bounced around the NFL. He was the Jets offensive coordinator. Oh, by the way, the year I graduated high school. That's when that's why it feels like he's been in the league for 20 years, because he has. Then he was the Rams offensive coordinator with, I think that was with Jeff Fisher. He went to Georgia for a year. Then he was with the Colts, the Seahawks, the Jaguars, and now the Cowboys. Any of those really sending you?
Well, I mean, Russell Wilson was a Pro Bowler for 3 straight seasons while he was in Seattle. So, I mean, I guess there's that.
Woo! Yay!
Not really known as the offensive juggernaut.
No, I mean, he's just a guy. I would any other team in the NFL interview Brian Schottenheimer?
No.
I mean, yeah, he had some productive offenses in Seattle. Outside of that, you take those 3 years in Seattle away. The rest of his career, he has been in the top 10 in points scored one time. Once. And that was with Dallas last year. Other than that, there's a lot of 18th, 25th, 17th, 13th, 13th, 25th, 21st, 21st, 21st. I don't understand what exactly Jerry Jones is thinking. And look, I know it's a fool's errand to try to figure out what's running through his brain. I just don't understand this.
It's almost like it gets worse and worse every time. Every time he gets an opportunity to kind of reset and create a new path for the team, it doesn't go well. Like, after you had a chance after Jason Garrett. And how'd that go? Now you got another chance after Mike McCarthy. I don't know what the answer is, but if everybody except for you goes, are you sure you want to bring that guy in? Maybe you should rethink things.
Well, and there's a possibility that we're looking at this the wrong way. This was mentioned to me over the weekend. We're treating it like the guys that they're bringing in are who Jerry wants, not who Jerry can get. Because the Mike McCarthy thing has sat really awkwardly with a lot of people around the league. I mean, look, this is a guy that won a Super Bowl. And you let his contract expire. You hung him up from talking to the Bears. He did finally get the interview with the Bears. But you hung him up for a week. Then you didn't talk to him. It's all a bad look. And we all know what Jerry is. But this is a bad look even for Jerry.
I would agree. You know, Troy Aikman said it when the Dion talk was all hot and heavy, and the McCarthy thing was brand new. He said he doesn't think that this is a top tier job because you can't have the freedom to do the job the way you want it done. You have to do it the way Jerry wants you to do it. You have to make sure that you're following the corporate line, so to speak. And it's hard for guys with options to get on board with that. I don't know if these are only the guys that will say yes to interviews with Jerry Jones, but maybe that's true.
Oh, I feel very sure there are other guys that would be interested if they were asked. Mm-hmm. I just think it gets into a lining up with what Jerry wants and you being interested at the same time. both of those things have to be there at the same time. And look, Jerry is notorious for he trusts who he trusts. It doesn't really matter what you think. And he's going to do what he wants to do. I'm not seeing a plan. That's what bothers me, is that I can't even really figure out if you got your way here, what would that look like? Who is the guy you would be excited about if you're Jerry Jones?
I don't know that there's a candidate out there that I would really be excited about.
Well, I think the one for Jerry is Kellen Moore.
Could be. You were close to that, or rumored to be close to that at one point, of making him the heir apparent, and then he had to leave town.
And went to your division rival and is now in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. So maybe it is Kellen.
It just always feels to me like Jerry Jones is chasing his tail. Oh, I let Kellen go. I probably should have done that in the first place, and now we're here.
How important is winning? How important is it to you to get your guy? Is anything on the table? How much money are we talking here? Is this no expenses too much?
I would think so.
I would think so, too.
I mean, look, to Jerry Jones, winning is everything. And I don't see the guy that I'm looking at going, yep, that's the one. Kellen Moore, that's the one that's going to bring you a Super Bowl. Or Leslie Frazier.
It's definitely not Leslie Frazier.
No. I mean, I'm looking at an 82-year-old Jerry Jones going, how much time do you think you have left, my friend?
Mm-hmm.
Because none of this seems to be, I want to win right now. It just, and I keep going back to that thing he did on Landman I feel like you told us this. I've won my rings, and now I just want to do it my way. And I don't care if anybody agrees with it. It is what it is. So don't be shocked if it's Mike Zimmer or Deion Sanders or Jason Witten or Brian Schottenheimer.
But if that is the case, then we all get to question how important is winning to you.
For sure.
Because you say it is, but then you're not in on any of the other guys that others are in, and then maybe that's because they wouldn't be interested. Perhaps. I mean, I feel pretty certain if Dallas had called, would Ben not have taken the interview at least?
I don't think so.
Just to say that you interviewed with the Dallas
I
Cowboys.
don't think so. That's not who Ben is. Ben would have had I hadn't talked to the guy about this, but I don't think he would just take the interview because it's interviewing with the Dallas Cowboys. And I cannot imagine he would be interested in that. I understand why he was interested in the Bears. I wouldn't have done it. I can't figure out how he got to the point of I'm okay with the outliers. With Dallas, I can't tell you a positive. I'm stuck with a quarterback I do not want. I have a receiver that is very good, but he did some things this year that have really rattled my cage. I've got to deal with my best defensive player who's coming into a contract year.
Who's disgruntled.
Yeah, and has a podcast that he really likes to talk about everything that happens inside those four walls.
Right.
Where's the plus to this?
Maybe it's got to be a gimmicky hire. Because that's what that feels like to me. Right? Deion Sanders, that's a gimmicky hire. I would feel like Jason Witten would be a gimmicky hire. There's no shade at Jason Witten. It's just you could take a guy right off the high school sidelines and make him a head coach in the NFL.
Would anybody else
Sounds
do it?
dumb. No.
Always ask yourself that question. Would anybody else do it?
No, Jason Witten would, and to get his shot in the NFL, he'd have to go to college first.
in all the years that I've been watching, covering, involved with the NFL, name me a hire of a guy that nobody else would have brought in that's really worked out. Andy Reid, teams were considering firing coaches that they didn't want to fire for a shot at Andy Reid.
Yep.
Sean McVay was a wonderkind. He was just so young. John Harbaugh is really the only one that I could get to, and that's just because he was a special teams coordinator, but he was well thought of in the NFL. Mike Tomlin was a DB's coach, and Pittsburgh just got to him first. I mean, I keep doing this. All the way back to Bill Belichick going to New England. Yeah, a lot of teams wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason he was so comfortable in walking away from the Jets. I don't want to work for this ownership, and I know I'm going to be sought after. And I'm pretty sure Robert Kraft had already sought after him when he wasn't supposed to.
And the rest is history. Cheating from the get-go.
Cheating from the get-go.
He learned from the best, I guess. There's no good solution. It doesn't look like to me. And
I mean, I could come up with a solution that makes sense. I mean, the solution that makes the most sense is that you hearken back to the days of yore and bring in Kellen Moore.
It could work.
I'm not a fan of nostalgia hires. Jason Witten wouldn't get an interview with any other team in the NFL. Deion Sanders was interested in the Raiders job. They very quickly said, you might be interested. We're not interested in you. But Jerry's got to do it. Can't help it because they're Cowboys. They said, you know what this reminds me of? You remember back in the old days where Michigan was obsessed with hiring a Michigan man?
Oh, yeah.
We can't hire anything but Michigan men. And that was all hunky-dunky, and you were completely irrelevant until the best candidate on the market was a Michigan man. Well, yeah, you got that one right. You wasted 20 years doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the Lloyd Carr era, outside of Rich Rodriguez, they were all Michigan men, and you all hated Rich Rod in nothing flat. It's just dumb. Hire the best coach. It doesn't matter if you had dinner with him. It doesn't matter if you want to go play golf with him. Hire the best coach. It's what every other team in this league tries to do. Dallas doesn't.
Fact or fiction from the YouTube comments here. Micah Parsons requests a trade. I don't think we're far off.
I will say fiction solely because I believe Micah Parsons is somebody that likes being in the national lexicon. Mm-hmm. You're not getting that if you're the best pass rusher for the Green Bay Packers. You get that because you're the star edge rusher of the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that's more of an allure to him than he would ever admit out loud. I think he wants it to work in Dallas. If it doesn't, so be it. He'll go somewhere else. I don't really see a path of that happening, though. I also don't know what that would cost.
7 arms and 8 legs.
Well, I mean, that's almost like selling a house that there is no comp for. I don't even know where to put the compensation for that.
Yeah, you want you want this the Maserati or whatever analogy you want to use for it. It's going to cost you everything you got. You're going to have to bring me a Herschel Walker deal.
And that's the thing. I don't know. I can't think of a team off the top of my head that would look at that and go, sure, we want to sign up for that. Mm-hmm. Great player, but you come with baggage.
That he does. And there is a part of him that wants this to work. But the fact that everything, and I guess maybe it's just too much access, right? The guy gives way too much access to his own opinions, and so things can change day to day. Right? He spent weeks talking about how things weren't going well, and then the moment the story comes out about the head coach not coming back. It was, oh, God, this is devastating. Well, I mean, what do you want to keep doing what we were doing when you were complaining before that we weren't winning? What is the solution? What will make you happy? Maybe he's a guy that can't be made happy.
It's entirely possible.
I would not be shocked. If this is some gimmicky hire and things don't start going well next year, I'll not be surprised to see Micah Parsons once again bringing it up, at least making everybody ask the question. And maybe that's the goal. Maybe he just wants people talking about him. Again, though, you end up in the same circus that the Dallas Cowboys have always been. You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is CSPN Asheville.
Playoffs? We're talking about...
Clear.
You bet we are. Kevin Hart here for DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WPEK. That's code WPEK for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5.
Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Watching Clorox cleanup spray dissolve tough grime in the shower feels like...
Wait, this really just happened? I'm shocked. Underwear and everything?
It feels like being able to zip up your overpacked suitcase on the first try.
Smooth.
With Clorox, clean feels sad. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
It's time to discover the convenience and time savings of contact-free pickup with Ingles Curbside. Just visit shop.ingles-markets.com or download the app. And your Ingles personal shopper gets to work with specialized training on how to select the freshest items for a pre-scheduled pickup. They'll even text you with updates. You pull up to a designated space and your personal shopper delivers your items right to your vehicle. Fresh, fast, and affordable. It's all in the bag. Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings.
Mountain Graphics and Showtime Sports have teamed up under a new local owner to serve our community with the finest custom apparel and unique branded items at the best price. Mountain Graphics and Showtime Sports can customize whatever you, your team, or your local group may need with high-quality screen printing, embroidery, and laser engraving. Visit mtngraphicsavl.com or showtimesportsavl.com. That's mtngraphicsavl.com or showtimesportsavl.com for your local one-stop custom apparel shops.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the mountains, you need to call the agents at Clarissa Sells WNC, brokered by eXp Realty. Check us out online at clarissasellswnc.com. And did I mention that Clarissa Sells WNC loves teachers? We love teachers so much, we're giving back 25% of our commission at closing. For more information, contact us today at 828-774-6343 or clarissasellswnc@gmail.com.
The Sportsocracy.
These guys are a f***ing disgrace.
We're back in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville, and you can follow the Sportsocracy on all the social medias, helpfully labeled at The Sportsocracy. Don't forget the. The is very, very important. Coming to us live from the NFLDraft.net Mullet Manor, one Flostradamus, Jeremy Green.
Yeet.
Who's been pouring himself into all 22 tape of Montana State football.
Yeah, it's. I told you on one of the live streams yesterday, I just broke down a live snapper from the Colorado School of Mines. That's a new one.
Yes. And that is like ore mines, not mimes like the clowns in the park.
No clones.
Not those.
I don't do clones.
No.
Clowns freak me out.
Except for apparently that Terrifier clown.
That was just funny.
You tell me you watch those movies?
I have not. I see the videos on TikTok and I find them to be very, very funny. I also find that guy's smile to be super creepy.
Yeah. There's a reason they call it the Terrifier movies.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to watch any of that.
Right. Oh, we're keeping an eye on the news just to see if we're going to have any breaking news before the end of the program here. Any coaching carousel news. As far as the NFL draft preparations go, the Senior Bowl is coming up next week.
Yes.
In Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama. I just put out my first quarterback rankings yesterday on a live stream that was in place of this show because Tank was handling all things inauguration. So we were preempted from ESPN yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
How long was that day, by the way?
Was there anybody
just from 2:30 in the morning until 10 or whatever last night when we stopped with the national title live stream?
It wasn't that bad because I did catch a nap for a couple hours in between the little afternoon overreaction Monday that we did and the live stream of the game. The game didn't start till like 7:30. But it was one of those, you take the nap. I just go back to sleep and we could do this. And then I was really thrilled that I'd, woke up for that snooze fest of an Ohio State domination.
I didn't even watch the fourth quarter. Soaring Eagle messaged me last night and said, "Oh, Notre Dame's making it a game." I flipped over to the Gamecast and went, "No, they're not." This is, are we going to backdoor cover or are we not? And the answer was, are we not?
Are we not? Yeah. Cut it to 8. The spread was 8.5, and you cut it to 8 with 4 minutes to go. And then they ended up giving up the big play and the field goal with like a minute to go so that Ohio State could cover the spread and win by 11.
By the way, Vegas really did not like that Jeremiah Smith long play. Cost a lot of money on Ohio State minus the 8.5.
Oh, yes.
Because they were going to be on the good side of that, and then they weren't.
The majority of the money was on Ohio State to cover. I think you said it was like 54% or something like that before the game started yesterday.
That was just at one book.
As far as the amount of money.
Yeah, that was just at one book. I don't have it universally. All I know is the report I got this morning was Vegas was not thrilled with that Jeremiah Smith catch.
Right. And hats off again to Ohio State for winning the first 12-team playoff. But last night, did anybody help their draft stock in that game?
Xavier Watts. He was everywhere for Notre Dame. He got me to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you, I was sitting in this chair at 3 o'clock this morning watching Xavier Watts tape. You want to know how Jeremy's life goes from about this time until roughly April 28th? I spend more time in this room that I'm sitting in than you would ever imagine. And most of it has tape up on that large screen right there, and sometimes I have it on the 2 screens in front of me too. Then it goes full war room. And that's when my wife starts worrying about me and telling me I need to talk to a therapist of some kind.
Quinshot Judkins with his 3 touchdowns didn't improve his stock with a good performance.
He still can't pass, bro. The guy that's become the biggest topic of conversation is Will Howard. Because, he finished the year at 73-something% completion percentage. And is an NFL team going to get completely duped by him? Maybe. He's just so old. And I always struggle with those 24, 25-year-old guys. I don't see how a team's is going to fall for that. Your rookie contract's going to run till you're 30 years old if you go in the first round.
Yeah, you never know. He could be the next Bo Nix.
What, mediocre quarterback that leads a team to a first-round annihilation? I'll pass.
Maybe. If you're the Tennessee Titans, you might sign up for that.
If I were a betting man, I will say that Cam Ward goes 1, Shedeur Sanders goes 2, and then where do the easy-to-fall-for guys fall from there? Because there's 3 of those. Mm-hmm. Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, and Quinn Ewers. If any of them go in the first round, you did it wrong. I could get down with Dart in the second. I don't like Jalen Milroe. I just put out my first film breakdown of him, and I took 1 game tape. It was just South Carolina. This is in 8 plays why I don't like Jalen Milroe. These are not things you see high-level quarterback prospects do. Mm-hmm. And Will Howard, it's a guy Kansas State looked at and went, you should go elsewhere. Then he goes to Ohio State with the best roster money can buy, and all of a sudden he looks like a draft prospect. Nah, I've read this book before.
Dylan Gabriel high on that list. He was another one of those college football playoff quarterbacks that aged out of the college system.
Dylan Gabriel is 2.5 inches shorter than you are. So, I'm going to say not up there for me.
Okay. Do you have a draftable grade on him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe I have him in the 6th. I only have 11 draftable quarterbacks, period.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's not a good class. And then you get into Donovan Smith, he's never really done anything that makes you think he could be a great NFL quarterback, but he's 6'5" with a cannon and he's fast. So can somebody fall in love with that? Sure. He's one that in a Senior Bowl, in a Shrine Bowl, at the Combine, he's going to look like Cam Newton. And then you're going to put on the tape and go, hey, where did that guy go? The guy in shorts, he could be our quarterback. The guy on that tape right there, I'm good.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville. Check out his work at NFLDraft.net and thesportsocracy.com.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather.
And we're clear.
ESPN Asheville.
We're officially official on Lou Anarumo and on Ben Johnson.
Coldest night, though.
Okay.
It's most likely going to be tonight by a degree or 2 from where we were earlier today.
And Mike Borgonzi and Ben will both be introduced tomorrow. Borgonzi in Tennessee, Ben with the Bears.
Maybe
okay.
Here, 5 above, wind chills below 0. Sun back tomorrow, 32. From the Weather Channel, I'm Ray Stajic.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts.
You got a crimes?
Based on the February 2024
Nielsen
report,
and it's a great one.
Discover.com.
It's not from Florida, is it?
Fires that ravaged Los Angeles now account for one of the largest disasters in the history of our country. Now, iHeartRadio is bringing you an historic...
Where in Florida?
Fire Aid Benefit Concert.
Los Angeles.
Brevard County.
At Fire Aid.
We got the same story.
Join us.
Is it about a 31-year-old woman at a traffic stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have that one. That was mine.
9 Eastern.
And show your support for the people in need in Los Angeles.
I have another one, though, if you need it.
Watching Clorox cleanup spray dissolve tough grime in the shower feels like...
Yeah, send it to me.
Wait. This
Let me see if I can find it.
I'm shocked. Underwear and everything?
It feels like being able to zip up your overpacked suitcase on the first try.
Smooth.
With Clorox, clean feels satisfying. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
FEMA help is available to Helene survivors who are unable to stay.
Oh, you want the one about
If you are living in
the
a
girl
hotel
getting
or
burned by the
temporary
barbecue
shelter,
sauce?
You may be eligible for additional funds for moving and storage costs.
Sure.
Property. For more
This is like the
information,
dumbest
visit the
story you'll ever
Disaster
hear in your
Recovery
life.
Center to find a center near you. Visit FEMA.gov/DRC or call 800
All right, I'm sending you on Messenger now.
FEMA. Again, that's 800-621-3362.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford of Hendersonville. I would like to introduce you to some of our very own Parks community heroes, like Eric, who hosted the football team to support their neighbors and begin the cleanup efforts, like Jeff and Chris, who led a fleet of Ford commercial vehicles throughout the night, delivering supplies with emergency services to all corners of the county and first responders. Nominate your community hero at parkscommunityheroes.com. That's parkscommunityheroes.com.
50 seconds.
Bill Workman said the radio listeners truly miss out on the YouTube side of us being able to talk like this. You ought to hear what we talk about before the camera goes live.
Right.
That would have to be behind a paywall, or we would all get fired.
Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the mountains, you need to call the agents at Clarissa Sells WNC, brokered by eXp Realty. Check us out online at clarissasellswnc.com. Download our free app on Google Play or the App Store. Type in Asheville Home Search. You'll be able to connect with our team and see all the available homes for sale in our area. For more information, contact us today at 828-774-6343 or clarissasellswnc@gmail.com.
It is the Sportsocracy, and we are back on ESPN Asheville. Time for the most important message of the day.
Don't do crimes.
All right, since Jeremy stole my Florida story, I'll tell you the Texas story here. This definitely should be a crime. A Texas teenager has won a lawsuit. She's 19 years old, and she won a lawsuit with Bill Miller Barbecue Enterprise because she ordered breakfast tacos with a side of barbecue sauce, which does seem strange, but okay, maybe then it's just you don't like salsa, I guess, or maybe you didn't want to really, crank up the heat, start out the day that way. Barbecue sauce, a milder choice. However, when she got the barbecue sauce, the container of it was so hot that she dropped it and spilt it on her leg. Her leg got second-degree burns from the temperature of the barbecue sauce. And a 12-member jury awarded her $2.8 million for the injury. That seems aggressive. So
It's definitely aggressive to me. I can't really wrap my brain around. So how'd you get to that number?
More than $25,000 went to pay for the medical expenses from the injury. I guess if you had to have like skin grafting done or something like that. Okay. $900,000 of it were for past and future mental anguish, physical pain, and impairment. She got $1.9 million in punitive damages for spilling barbecue sauce on your lap. I'll take it. Sign me up right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was hot barbecue sauce.
I will knowingly let you give me second-degree burns if I can get $3 million out of the deal.
I don't think that's how that works. I'm just going out on a limb. I think the fact you just said that is enough that you will lose every single one of these cases anytime it happens to you.
Shoot.
My story comes from Central Florida, Brevard County Sheriff's Office. It's about a woman named... Is it Brevard? I thought it was Brevard.
Brevard. No, it's like our Brevard.
No, it is like... for some reason, I thought they pronounced it Brevard. Anyway... Taryn Ackry, 31-year-old resident of Florida. She was a passenger in a car. Car was pulled over by officers, and the driver consented for it to be searched. Unfortunately for Miss Ackry, it wasn't great because she had a bag in the car that contained methamphetamine, needles, Narcan, digital scales, small baggies, cut straws, and other items associated with drugs in her bag.
Doing crimes.
She was, of course, arrested, busted for the possession and all of those things. But that's not why I'm telling the story. The reason that I'm telling the story is because of the bag that they found it in. Would you like to guess what the bag carrying her drugs said on it?
Free snacks.
Nope, it said definitely not a bag full of drugs.
Well, why would they ever think to look there?
It is a bag that has definitely not a bag full of drugs printed on it. Now, I tell that story to tell this story. Back in October, 37-year-old Rochelle Beganistos and Reginald Lamont Reynolds, 35, were also arrested with a bag that had just a slew of cocaine and scales and cash and a handgun, also in a bag that said definitely not a bag full of drugs. Drug people, stop putting your drugs in a bag that says not drugs. I didn't think I would ever have to say that. If you want it to maybe be hidden, it should say something like, I don't know, used undergarments, gym socks that need to be disposed of. Definitely not a bag of drugs is kind of a clue to all of us that don't do crimes that there are crimes in that bag.
I don't know what would possess one to buy such a bag in the first place.
Well, apparently they sell them through some online retailer. And the shtick of this online retailer is this is a great place to put your drugs. Nope, it's not. In the words of Half Baked, you can put your weed in there, but you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would have been mad, if I were this young lady.
I feel like we should come up with
because
go ahead.
The part of the story was that the cops stopped him and the driver was like, "Yeah, check the car." Wait a minute. We didn't have this discussion.
Apparently, the only person duped by the bag that said definitely not drugs was the driver who had to consent to the search of the car.
Right.
The driver went, "Oh, there's definitely not drugs in that bag? Awesome. Put it in the back seat. We're good to go."
We're good to go. Just in case we get stopped, I know that I am I can feel confident in telling the cops, "Go ahead, search the car. There's nothing illegal in here. We even have a bag that says this is definitely not crimes."
I feel like, in me being the marketing guy, I'm seeing this as an opportunity. If they're selling a lot of these bags, I feel like I should start printing laptop sleeves that just say not used for increasingly shameful pornography. If the drug bag sells, that's certainly going to sell.
Sure.
And anybody that puts that on their computer, you rest assured I'm not touching that computer. That one's going to be a you thing, bruh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, we've got official head coaching news. Correct?
Yes, Ben Johnson has landed in Chicago. And he looks very excited.
Well, of course he is.
They shut down the airport in Chicago for him. Oh no, that's it. Oh, never mind. That's in the Bears building. I thought that was the Chicago, the O'Hare Airport. Like, holy
Did you think
good
they
Lord!
were giving him like the ticker tape parade in the airport as he landed? Like, yes, our savior has arrived. Everyone call Bear Nation. Get them to O'Hare now. That would be an impressive mobilization of the troops. I will tell you that.
Yeah, he gave a very impassioned speech in Hallis Hall. It's going to take all of us in this room, but he left out something, except for the half of you that I'm going to fire in 2 months.
No, it will take everyone in that room. Just some of you are going to have to sacrifice for this to happen.
For sure. And by sacrifice, we mean your job.
Caesar has spoken. And Ben Johnson, best of luck to him. Great guy. We think he's going to be a great head coach in this league. And hopefully he is the one to unlock the offensive puzzle that has forever been the Chicago Bears, who, have pretty much mastered that whole defense thing. But since, the evolution of the leather helmet, have never really been able to put it together offensively speaking. The best quarterback in franchise history is still Jay Cutler. So let's just all keep that in mind. Sorry, Sid Luckman. Should we? Is it Sid's spot?
I don't think we have to go back that far. I mean, surely we don't have to go back that far. I would have stuck with Jay Cutler.
I don't know which is worse.
Oh, I mean, if you'd said Jim McMahon, then I probably could have. I would have opposed that a little bit more vehemently.
Yeah, no, he was. He would not have been on that list.
Ah, the Jay Cutler deal. A deal that worked out for no one involved.
So Ben's officially going to Chicago. Lou Anarumo officially getting the defensive coordinator job for the Indianapolis Colts. That's something that we haven't spoken about on the radio show. Is this the move that the Indianapolis Colts need to, I guess, take the step towards contending in that division?
Look, I like Lou. I think Lou is going to be I think Lou's a good defensive coordinator that just got put in a bad spot. Mm-hmm. Because, look, Cincinnati didn't live up to the hype. Cincinnati didn't make the playoffs. You had Joe Burrow that was absolutely special. Jamar Chase, who was a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. And the defense let you down. So somebody was going to get axed because of that. Now, what Gambit fan had said in the comments, I think, is a really good point. Lou's a great strategist, but he has a vet fetish that prevents him from moving off of guys. I can't say that I disagree with what he said there. Lou guys are Lou guys. And he really goes to bat for his guys. Now, I look at Indianapolis and where they're at and what they have and the pieces they have moving forward, and there's a lot that I think could be really good there. Between Latu that you took last year, you've got, I think, a very good defensive tackle combo in Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner. You still got Kwity Paye. You still got Kenny Moore. That's I don't love that he's your number one corner, but there are pieces there.
Mm-hmm. You still got Zaire Franklin, who's not far removed from best years or being one of the best linebackers in the league.
Yeah, Zaire Franklin's a guy that he's really good against the run. He's not a complete linebacker, and I'm not going to lie to you. I think he's more part of the problem than he is part of the solution. But that's it's hard to win the way this defense is built because you're so absolutely awful against the pass. It's great that you can stop teams from running the ball. It's great that you have players that can stop teams from running the ball. You can't stop anybody in the passing game. And I guess that's what makes me really nervous about this hire with Anarumo. There was a time this year that Cincinnati was just getting bled like a catfish against the run. Over time, he started to figure that out. The problem is they couldn't stop anybody from throwing it up and down the field on them. So I'm not averse to the hire. I think Lou is a really good coach. I'm just not sure if this was the right fit.
Okay.
Now, is there somebody I would have liked aggressively better? Not really.
That was the obvious follow-up, was who could they have hired to make that better?
I don't know that there is a coach that can do a complete one-year turnaround in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis falls into that same path of you did this to yourself. You took the wrong quarterback, and now you've really got to prop him up. You've got to be able to run the ball really well. You got to play defense really well because he's not the guy, and he's going to put you in bad situations a lot. So I think it's fine. I just easily see a path that Shane Steichen and Lou Anarumo are both looking for new employment a year from now.
Okay. One of the headlines of the day getting a lot of attention from some of the talking heads nationally. The comments that came out of Baltimore from Patrick Ricard, who says it's inevitable that Lamar Jackson will win a Super Bowl at some point in his career. I mean, show pride in your guy, right? Show him all the support in the world. But the fact that there are so many who are just kind of echoing this, of course, he's going to win at some point. I think we all have to be reminded, not everybody wins. Not everybody gets the job done. And at this point, I don't know that I can get on board with inevitable.
Well, I mean,
like,
look.
yes, it's definitely going to happen. He's not shown me yet that he could put together a playoff run.
Stephen Tao hates the Lamar Jackson talk.
No, of course he does.
This is not untoward. All right, I feel like we get into this vicious cycle of talking about this. Is there a path that Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl? Absolutely. Is there a path we do this for the next 10 years? Absolutely. We did that with Phillip Rivers. We did it with a lot of other guys. Hell, we did it with Dan Marino, who's one of the best quarterbacks that ever lived. He couldn't win in the playoffs. It happens to some guys.
Yep.
It doesn't – I don't think it – I don't think it shapes your legacy. And Stephen Tao said, I can't remember another player where everyone just waits for him to fail. It's not that we're waiting for him to fail. It's that he's done it a bunch of times. That's I can answer that question. It's Dan Marino. That's what I grew up with, was he haunted our nightmares in the division because New England sucked, Buffalo sucked, we sucked, and we just knew Miami is going to beat us routinely. But then they're going to get to the playoffs and fail. So, I mean, it's happened a lot of times. I can actually give you several more examples over my lifetime.
Bringing up the fact that a guy has never won in the Super Bowl is not saying that he sucks.
No, but I mean, there's a guy like this in every era, in every sport.
Sure.
Every single one. Charles Barkley in basketball. You cannot mention his name without that coming up. Doesn't mean he wasn't great.
How many guys do we talk about at the end of their careers of, man, I really wish he would go somewhere to win? Mm-hmm. Right? Maybe they're not quarterbacks, but we talk about aging wide receivers all the time. Like, oh man, this guy's chasing a ring.
You know what makes Lamar different to me?
What's that?
He's the first one that I've ever seen do this, that played for a stalwart, legendary, successful franchise. Mm-hmm. And let's be really honest, the Miami Dolphins, outside of 2 years in the 80s, 2 years in the 70s, largely been a dumpster fire. Nobody ever talks about that, but it's true.
Well, I mean, under Shula, they didn't have many dumpster fire seasons, did they? I mean, I was a wee little man too back in the 80s, so maybe I'm wrong on that.
Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have said dumpster fire that way. They were not a competitor. They won the AFC twice under Shula after 1973.
Yep.
From 1974 through the rest of his career, Don Shula won like a grand total of 12 playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
That spanned 22 years. The Los Angeles Chargers, San Diego Chargers, whichever, historically they've been that. The difference is that the Ravens have won a Super Bowl without Lamar. That's why he gets so much more hate. And I don't think there's anything more nefarious than that. I've seen you win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer, and you can't win one with Lamar Jackson. That's hard for people to wrap their brains around.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that now is very possibly going to win his third MVP in 5 years.
Precisely. Right, you win all these regular season games. You can win regular season MVP awards. But what is it about the playoffs? At some point, that's the common denominator. The common denominator is you're not moving on and you're not playing well in those playoffs. Right? We talked about this a little bit yesterday on the Overreaction Monday stream of Josh Allen plays well in the playoffs. So he doesn't get as much of the fire from the fan base or from the media as Lamar Jackson does when he performs poorly in the playoff losses.
Right.
Buffalo loses, but Josh is still playing good. Right? He's still great. He's still scoring touchdowns. He's still making the passes. His defense lets him down. Lamar's letting his team down. And yeah, he had a great second half. But he also dug the hole that put him in the position to lose that game. And it's going to keep coming up the more and more and more you do it. Inevitable that he wins a Super Bowl? I can't go down that path. Capable? Sure. Inevitable? I think we're far from that. You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville. That'll do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow right here on ESPN Asheville at noon.
NC Department of Adult Correction is hiring correctional officers.
And we're clear.
I am inevitable.
$10,000 sign-on bonus, paid vacation, and health insurance. That's right, a $10,000 sign-on bonus, paid vacation, and health insurance. Explore a career in criminal justice and learn what it actually involves. Looking for dedicated people with integrity and compassion who are interested in a stable and rewarding career. Visit dac.nc.gov/cojobs. dac.nc.gov/cojobs.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we found out a lot of things about our community. We saw neighbors helping neighbors, and we learned in desperate times one of the best things to have around is a redneck with a chainsaw.
Not just a chainsaw, boy, just country boys in general. When you live in these mountains, you figure it out. Like, you make stuff happen.
After answering the calls for help that they heard on the radio, the Chainsaw Brothers are still here, making it happen the right way. Fair, insured, and local. Need tree help? Call the Chainsaw Brothers. 316-1013. 316-1013.
This is J.W. Whitley, General Manager at Parks Ford of Hendersonville. I would like to introduce you to some of our very own Parks community heroes. Like Trent and Doug, whose first instinct was to fill their trucks with supplies and drive to the areas that were hardest hit in those first hours. Like Spencer, who helped build a bridge out of debris to rescue 7 families after the road was washed away. Nominate your Parks Community Hero today at parkscommunityheroes.com. That's parkscommunityheroes.com. Experience the Parks Promise today at parksfordhendersonville.com.
This is your Exergen Temporal Scanner weather forecast on ESPN Asheville.
All right, so far so good. We've made it through the cold. Coldest night, though, is most likely going to be tonight by a degree or two from where we were earlier today. And again, the snow going south-southeast of us, unusual indeed. Partial sun, 25 today. Tonight, breezy, cloudy, maybe a flurry early, then clear, 5 above, wind chills below 0. Sun back tomorrow, 32. From the Weather Channel, I'm Ray Stajic.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Forget about recruiting, sifting through resumes, and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to expresspros.com to find the location near you. That's expresspros.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. Need to whip up a dessert, entree, side dish? No problem. The experts from the Ingalls Table take you through it step by step with expert tips and advice along the way. Find the Ingalls Table at ingalls-markets.com or swing by the store and pick up your free copy of the Ingalls Table magazine. And let's get cooking. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville.